Hey, I'm on the edge of my seat here, back again with another brand new video. So today I will be no damaging a majority of Metal Gear Solid, the Twin Snakes on Extreme with the radar on, and I will be getting all the dog tags, and I will be getting a big boss rank at the end of this video. So I will not be killing anyone, I'm never gonna get caught, and yeah, that's pretty much how it's gonna go. So in this first area, just kind of crawl under here, and then we're going to wait out a certain guard. And oh yeah, by the way, so in Metal Gear Solid 2, to get the big boss rank, you actually do need to turn your radar off, but in this game, you don't. And I'm kind of glad for the concession, because I mean, it definitely makes things easier, and I don't know, Metal Gear Solid stealth definitely feels a lot more natural with the radar. Like, I mean, it's kind of a weird thing, like, I mean, you know, they should probably go for more of a middle ground type thing without the radar, or like with the radar, because the radar's too powerful, but without the radar you're too powerless, you know, like, I don't know, something like that. So pretty much just wait for that guard to pass you by and then hide in this locker for a pretty long amount of time. I don't know, so pretty much this guard's gonna pass you by in this locker, but then like the second time a guard passes you in this locker, that's when you get out, and then you wait at a certain point. Though to be fair, I forget if it's that guard or like another guard, which I have to wait for 2 times, which I have to wait and see here. Also, something which you're not going to see in this video are the briefing files, but I would like to bring up that the way the Twin Snakes handles the briefing files is different. So pretty much, I don't know, in the original game, like the briefing file cutscenes were kind of handled with like the same type of drawings you would see on the codec screen, kind of these 2D style. I don't know, looks really cool. While in the Twin Snakes, they animated it with like the 3D models as like an actual cutscene, but from like a static camera angle, kind of like you're looking at security footage or whatnot. So I believe like after the second time you see that guard, pretty much get out of the locker, and we're gonna wait here, because then the elevator's gonna come down, and then like the guard's gonna run past you. It's gonna like, pretty much walk past you, and then once he walks past you, you just get on the elevator, and that pretty much ends everything. But yeah, I don't know, in the Twin Snakes, like the briefing cutscenes are kind of handled from a static camera angle with the 3D models. And I prefer like the drawings of the original game, but it is kind of neat that like the Twin Snakes version of the briefing files is kind of like a proto, kind of like a more low scale version of like what the briefings would be in Metal Gear Solid 4. I don't know, Metal Gear Solid 4, like they were kind of like actual cutscenes, but you could like change the camera angles and kind of explore around, see different types of stuff. I mean, it's a lot more expansive in that game, but it's kind of a similar idea here. But yeah. So here we're about to come upon like the most complicated area in the game. This was also true of the original, and it's even more true here now that I have to collect all the dog tags. So the thing with the dog tags is I really think that this game and Metal Gear Solid 2 in particular should kind of rework how dog tags work as an objective, because like, I don't know, you're not really forced to collect them. I'll get into that a little later. So here, just kind of run up here. We're going to get the SOCOM pistol. And that's another thing. So the tranquilizer gun we're going to pick up later. However, there's 4 guards in this area which we have to get their dog tags for. But we don't have the tranquilizer pistol, and we can't kill anyone. So yeah, pretty much kind of take the path I took, get the SOCOM pistol, run down the like heliport there, like avoid the lights. I don't know, the lights pattern's a little weird, and like the lights aren't as bright as in the OG game. But I don't know, but that's for visuals. I'll get for that later. So yeah, the way we knock guards out is we punch them in the nuts. It's a little weird, just kind of huddle up behind them as close as you can, and then look straight down and then punch them. I don't know, if you're not that close, it'll be a little bit more complicated to punch them in the nuts. But yeah, just kind of punch them below the belt, and that will be a 1-hit knockout. However, they don't stay knocked out for too long, because I don't know, we're going to be spending a little bit of time in this area, because one of them is going to wake up and say, "Help, I'm under attack," because they don't stay knocked out for too long. And to be fair, this is also true of the original game, but in the original game, you kill people. You don't exactly knock them out, though there is a restriction on how many people you can kill, but, you know. So yeah, you either have to kill people in the original game or avoid them, while here you could just knock them out non-lethally. If you have an actual tranquilizer pistol, then that'll stay knocked out for a pretty long time, but with the nuts technique, it's kind of like your last resort. But it's not like that good, but it's all you got. So yeah, I don't know, I kind of hold this guy up, and then I drag him away from the camera. And now I'm going to wait for this guard to kind of pass by and look at that guy. Now, if I didn't have the radar, I don't know if I would have come up with this strategy. And, you know, I mean, that's probably right. But, you know, since I don't need to turn off the radar to get the big boss rank, I'm just going to go here. So anyways, here, I mean, I shot the camera out, and thankfully there were no guards nearby. But sometimes when I shot the camera out, I don't know, maybe my timing was off. but like a guard would hear me and then that pretty much end the game. Also, I turned on a setting where pretty much the game would like go to game over if I got caught. So pretty much every time I got caught, boom, game over, and then I would exit and just kind of go on from there. Another thing you have to do on Big Boss Run is use 0 continues. What that means is that instead of pressing continue, you press exit and reload your last save, which is pretty much just a more tedious way of pressing continue. Which is like, okay, I mean, I guess for the tedium, you have to suffer through that to get the big boss rank. Oh yeah, I should mention this is also a segmented run, so notice I did not do this in one go. In fact, at the end of this video, like the title screen, you'll see how many saves I used, and you can kind of figure out how many segments I made to this video. Like, I don't know. I mean, I kind of tackle each area. Like, I mean, at the very least, I definitely do each area in one go, and sometimes multiple areas. And I definitely do all the boss fights in one go, because there's no splicing a boss fight. There is no splicing a boss fight. Well, unless, you know, whatever. So, yeah, after you pretty much wait out that caution state. I mean, the caution state's weird, because there's extra guards. And, like, when I'm trying to get dog tags, it's kind of hard to deal with, and I'm not going to deal with it, so I kind of waited it out. And then once you wait it out, go through the heliport through like the left side, go down like, you know, down, and I'll figure out the light patterns there because it is weird. And I really did not need to hold up that guard. He was walking away from me, and he would have not been a problem, and I would have gotten done with this area quicker. But I guess, I don't know, I was a little nervous. And now here I'm just going to wait for this guard to pass by, and really I don't think I needed to wait for this guard to pass by. I probably could have just walked all the way over there. No, this guard's kind of looking my direction a little too fast, so he probably would have caught me before I saw him. However, an advantage of waiting here is that I'm like naturally waiting out the caution state, so when I enter the new area, the area's not going to be in a caution state. That's another thing. So this game actually adds some gameplay stuff from like Metal Gear Solid 2. I mean, the dog tags for one, and how caution states can actually follow you into the next room, which is not something we want in a no damage. So here I was able to naturally just wait it out, and then yeah, now we have our 4th dog tag, and we can pretty much move on. Pretty much like it's just 2 enemies down below, and then there's a 3rd one by the camera, and then the 4th one just kind of patrols up here, and now we're gonna enter like the next area through these vents. So yeah. Now I was saying something about dog tags. So I mean, like Metal Gear Solid stealth is simple. However, I mean, the very first game, the OG game, its stealth is very simple. It's pretty much just like line of sight, avoid the enemy, and you can kind of manipulate enemies a little bit here and there. I mean, one thing is that enemies are really oblivious in the very first Metal Gear Solid, so you can just kind of throw them, and they won't really do anything if you like get out of their line of sight. They'll be like, "Huh, what was that noise?" You know, so you can kind of like manipulate enemies that way. But beyond that, not much. While here we have some pretty much additions from Metal Gear Solid 2, like holdups, which can kind of alter enemy states, and also the caution state. So, you know, if an enemy, like if you throw an enemy and run past them, they'll do a caution state. They won't just not do anything. So, you know, you can't cheese the game as hard as that. But then now there's the dog tags. So, and the dog tags kind of fundamentally change the way you approach like these stealth rooms. Instead of like trying to avoid the enemy, now you have to get in contact with the enemy while also not being spotted. So like, how do I like, you know, get up to an enemy, put my gun in their face, and take their dog tags without the other enemy seeing me? And like that can make for some pretty fun scenarios, which wouldn't happen if you were just trying to avoid them. Because this room in particular, like the way you, I don't know, so this game, adopting Metal Gear Solid 2 design doesn't always work to its favor. It kind of breaks certain sections, and this section could be one of those sections that is kind of broken. In the original game, you can't hang. So pretty much what we would have to do is you have to like run all the way through this thing to get to the one entry point, the one descending point, the stairs. That's the only way you can get down from this area. While here, you could just distract one of the guards near the elevator, and then once they move away from the elevator, you can just kind of hang, drop down, and then call the elevator. While yeah, you can just kind of do that. While in the OG game, that just wasn't possible. You actually had to deal with a bunch of different like kind of obstacles. You know, you had to time your descent at the exact right point. You had to deal with the cameras up there, like the different rooms. So pretty much the only object you need to get in this room. Oh yeah, also I should probably mention, I actually got the SOCOM pistol this time. I mean, in the truck. And the reason I say that is because in my OG video, since I wasn't doing any holdups, I didn't get it, and that was a big mistake. I should have gotten it because I didn't get the thermal goggles because of it. Because if you don't get the SOCOM pistol in that first truck, then you won't be able to get the thermal goggles up in like that first room I approached in like, I don't know, the first room on the right, on like the upper level of this room. I'm getting a little mixed up here, but I don't know. Pretty much what I did was I made a little bit of noise on the metal grating, and then one of the guards will hear me and like climb up. And then once that guard like climbs up to where I am, I'm gonna drop down to like pretty much the ground level, and then I'm gonna hold up the one guard which is hanging around in the guard level. I'll get his dog tag, and around that time, the other guard will notice that nothing's upstairs, so he'll come downstairs, and during that time, I can get the drop in on him while he's checking out his friend. So that's pretty much the way I got both of the dog tags in that room. Now we will be returning to that room because there is a third enemy which has a dog tag, which will appear later when we return to that room as kind of the game goes on. Like, I don't know, the game's like structure kind of changes in that room as it goes along. I mean, there'll be a new area you can actually open because of your new card key, and like the door upstairs where I got the thermal goggles will be locked. That's why you want to get the thermal goggles like the first time you're in that room, because if you go later you won't be able to get them. And the reason you're going to want the thermal goggles is to kind of solve the laser puzzle. Well, to be fair, in this game, you actually don't need them for the laser puzzle, but they will be useful for later parts of the game and also for the mines. Anyways, here in this first encounter with Meryl, I mean, we're not going to start off there. We're instead going to start off with the dead Darpa chief, but I learned something with this first encounter with Meryl. So in the original game and in this game, if you don't have a SOCOM pistol, like before entering this area, the cutscene where Snake kind of like goes, "You're a rookie," changes. Like, if he doesn't have a gun, he'll instead hold Meryl's gun, kind of, you know, stopping it from shooting. While if you do have a SOCOM pistol, Snake will just pull out his gun and kind of hold it up to Meryl while she's like holding up hers. So this is true in both the original and the Twin Snakes. Now, I didn't notice this in the original, so I thought it was actually something new in the Twin Snakes, but it was also true in the original, so just thought I'd mention that. Anyways, in this first guard encounter, I will be taking damage. So, yeah, I don't know, one like bad point about doing the big boss run is I have to do everything non-lethally, and doing everything non-lethally means the tranquilizer pistol. So it doesn't exactly have it. Did you see that guard? It just moved past my shot. He just like ducked, went to the right, and then went a little bit back to the left. What did he do? Why did they do that? So yeah, now I don't have as much versatility to shoot these guys as I do with like a pistol that can fire not exactly automatically, but you can just kind of go pop, 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 pop. Well, with a tranquilizer pistol, it kind of goes pop. You have to wait to kind of and then pop. I mean, it's just a whole big complication. And it gets even more complicated when these guards have hit scan now because of Metal Gear Solid 2. Now, yeah, Metal Gear Solid 2 had hit scan enemies, but when they would appear, like in forced action set pieces, you had a bit of cover to work with. But here, you don't really have much of anything to work with. So, you're gonna get hit. Now, I have a feeling that there might be a way to no damage this, but you're gonna have to kill people. I don't think there's any way to do this non-lethally. And I haven't seen any videos of anyone doing it non-lethally. But lethally, there might be a way if you can kind of get into a corner of a room and then before an enemy like even looks in your direction, you kind of stun them with a SOCOM pistol, and also get a headshot to kill them. Because if you stun them, they're not gonna do the hit scan thing. But man, these enemies have such fast reactions sometimes. Like they'll literally like they'll literally approach like the square inch of like, you know, your viewpoint, and they'll immediately fire. So it's just like, it's kind of random. It's like, I don't think it's possible, but maybe lethally it's possible. The thing is, no one's gonna make a video of like the Twin Snakes where they kill people, because like, what's the point in that? It's better to do a big boss run. That's like the bigger challenge of your skill. That's the better title to have. So I haven't seen any actual no damage videos for this game. Now, there are no damage videos for the original game, which pretty much states that everything is possible to no damage except the ending. While here, there was no such luck, and all the videos I saw didn't really, like, you know, dissuade my notion. I don't know, pretty much my strategy, like in this encounter, I'm gonna take damage, but pretty much just kind of stand still and just point and fire in first person with a tranquilizer. And then once you get to a certain point, go hide in a corner, and then the enemies will kind of come to you. So either Meryl will kill them, and then like the ones which she doesn't kill will come to you, and that's pretty much how you handle that. So anyways, in this room there are no enemies, but we have to pick up some C4 to pretty much proceed to the next area. Now in the top left there is a secret area where I can get more tranquilizer ammo, and we're gonna need that for the next boss fight. And then I don't know, near the bottom left there's pretty much the new area which pretty much proceeds us to the next boss fight. Also, I should probably mention, so yeah, this game's on GameCube, and I should probably mention that because I am recording this on the GameCube. I also did not get any upscaling equipment for the GameCube, no HDMI splitter or whatever. I don't know, like the OS says, I don't know what it's called, but it was cool. It can like display PS2 games at like 1080p, and I'm interested in getting one. It's like on a 40-50 bucks, but like, oh my goodness. But I did not get one. So instead we have this glorious 4080i footage. What that means is that it's pretty much 480 interlaced, so it's not a progressive scan. So I have no idea what that means. I think it's just like a kind of a fake 480p, but yeah. And the reason I also bring that up, no, it's pretty much it. This video is pretty much at 480p, so that's pretty much why the video is so low res, which it doesn't exactly, you know, make it the best comparison visually to my Metal Gear Solid 1 video, because I recorded that video at like 1080p, so it's all shiny and like, you know, like high def. All this video is a little muddy. So when I start talking about like visuals in this video, like it's gonna come a little bit disingenuous, because like, I mean, the resolution's so much lower than like my Metal Gear Solid 1 video, so I mean, like the Metal Gear Solid 1 video is bound to look better, like regardless in most ways. But I kind of looked over some more HD footage. I did not emulate this game just because I did not want to deal with that pain. And I own this game. I paid $50 for it, like what, years ago, man. Like maybe even, no, I wouldn't say I bought this game 10 years ago, but like, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago. It's old. And it was here, start, auto aim up, and then you'll hit his head. If you fail that very first step, then you fail this no damage strat where you cheese the hell out of like Ocelot, because if you fail to fire at him like on his head before he fires in the very beginning, he's gonna fire and actually hit you. But you know, kind of aim in first person and then hold down the fire button, which will auto aim pretty much all the way to his area, but then aim slightly up to his head, and then once you get him, it should be easier to just kind of take him out. Oh yeah, but another thing about on the GameCube is that this game is on the GameCube. And I remember in my Metal Gear Solid 1 video saying that like, I don't know, Metal Gear Solid 1 and Metal Gear Solid 2 feel like games that are perfectly designed for the PS2 controller. Or like the PS3, just the PlayStation controller in general. And after replaying this game, that is still true. Oh my goodness, the game feels kind of horrible to play with the GameCube controller. Like, there's kind of a massive learning curve to figure out how this bloody game works. It's like, man, crawling, you press X to crawl, but then on this one you press the X button to crawl. Are you kidding me? So anyways, here's enter this room, run all the way to the right, and then hold this guy, but the X button to crawl, like, I don't know, I mean, crawling, that's something you get down on the ground for. The X button, that's like the bottom button. So yeah, run all the way to the right, hold that guy up, then run all the way to the left, hold this guy up, and then after you do that, you pretty much run up to pretty much kind of loop in on this guy over here, and that's how you get like the 3 dog tags in this area. But yeah, like, oh my goodness, like the X button, that's like top right of like the GameCube controller. Like it feels bad. I don't like it. Like, maybe if this is the first time you've ever played the game, it's not too bad, but like that doesn't translate well. Like, what is that? Like, I mean, A for shooting's pretty good, B for combat, that's pretty good. I don't know, the codec, like, start in A, that's a little weird. So yeah, here we're gonna get the FAMAS, and I'm kind of clicking and not clicking that to crawl a little faster, though I still don't crawl that fast. So yeah, once you get the 3 dog tags and the FAMAS, we're gonna exit this area, because if you linger too long, like, another edition for Metal Gear Solid 2 is gonna take place where pretty much they're gonna go, why are you so late with your status report? And they're gonna send extra guards to check out the area. However, I'm gonna get into this elevator before that becomes an issue. And also, before we move on, I'm gonna call Meryl to pretty much like, so pretty much you have to call Meryl by looking at the back of the box. And this time I actually had the back of the box. So it's like, ooh, I'm actually doing this the correct way. Nice. So you pretty much call Meryl in this little elevator here, because once you enter the next area, then like you'll get the forced call faster. Because if you call her in the next area and not in this area, it's going to take a little while. You're going to be waiting a bit for like the, I don't know, the big bay doors to open. So it's just, this is kind of a way to speed things up. So yeah, as I was saying, yeah, like just the GameCube, like, I mean, pressing it. But now another issue with the GameCube controller is the Z button, because that's pretty much how you do all your first person aiming, and man, that button is not stable enough for first person. Like, I don't know, it's really finicky. It kind of moves a little weird, like it's not as natural as Metal Gear Solid 2, and it's also not as natural as like Metal Gear Solid 1. But I mean, this game's smoother than Metal Gear Solid 1, but like the GameCube controller does it no favors. And I'm sure I could have gotten past all that if I just emulated with the PlayStation controller, but there will still be a bit of jank. Like, there still be a bit of jank. And also, there's like some new control gimmicks you have to get used to, since the GameCube doesn't have pressure sensitive buttons. Wait, the triggers are pressure sensitive, but not like the A, B, Y, or X buttons. So pretty much like the way you lower your weapon, like I mean in Metal Gear Solid 2 on the PS2 and the PS3, the way you kind of lower your weapon is you kind of hold you pretty much let go of the square button like slowly or like lightly. I mean it's finicky, and honestly I didn't really find a way to make it work all the time, but it's a cool little thing. Well, here the way you do it is by holding A and then holding Y, I believe. Hold up, I need to get my GameCube controller. Oh yeah, also, yeah, I'm correct on that. And the way you shoot and move at the same time is by holding A and B. So that's like a nice little control gimmick you have to learn for this game. So I mean, Metal Gear Solid always kind of has these weird control gimmicks you wouldn't really know about. And it's kind of nice that this game also has it. So anyways, here the laser puzzles kind of switch because they brought another thing from Metal Gear Solid 2. Pretty much just shoot the control panels and boom, the lasers go away. So you don't really need the thermal goggles for this anymore. And you don't really need to deal with the lasers in general. So that's pretty cool. Also, my strategy in this room, so the box. So pretty much like the enemy in like that right room there where he's kind of sleepy, the floor he's on, if you run on it, it will alert him because like it's a loud noise. Like this game kind of like it has more loud noises. I mean, the original game did have loud noise surfaces as well, like metal grates. But this game, like, it's kind of hard to tell like what is a loud surface grate and what isn't, because like sometimes it can kind of look similar to like a soft surface, and just getting close to enemies can be a little bit complicated because of that. And that room is pretty much just boom, metal plates, clank clank. He's gonna hear you, so you could just walk slowly to him while he's sleeping and hold him up. But I instead wait for him to notice me, and then I get into the box, because in this game the box becomes a lot more useful because they kind of took the mechanics from Metal Gear Solid 2. So pretty much what they'll do is that the enemy will check the box. They'll kind of have a little extended period where they kind of, you know, look at you, then they lift the box, and then once they lift the box, you can unequip the box to pretty much just kind of exit while they're still in that lifting the box period. And they're not gonna see you, so you can hold them up after you like get rid of the box, and then boom, you held them up. You have the advantage. So now here we start the tank fight. And the weird difference between this one and the original fight is that, like, in the original, like, it starts off with a rocket being fired at you. It's kind of like telling you, hey, yo, this guy's dangerous. You can shoot rockets at you. But here, that doesn't happen. So it's more like you're gonna, you know, exit the field and then get shot by a rocket. It's gonna be a little bit of trial and error there. Like, bro, come on. You could have had that nice little, like, neat design where it happened naturally, where when I was at a safe position. You know, game design. What happened in that? But yeah, and so that's one difference between this fight and like the original, though overall I prefer the fight in this game because it's easier. And I mean, like, it's easier, but it's also harder. Like, I don't know, one thing that's easier in this game is that it's much easier to deal with this guy's like machine gun fire. You can actually like avoid it. There's like a pattern to learn to it. And like the only reason you would want to learn how to avoid the machine gun fire is because I suck ass at throwing grenades. Now if you were actually good at throwing grenades, you could probably do this fight pretty easily. However, I don't know, the no damage videos I saw, like the strategies they adopted for this fight required the use of magazines. But at this point in the game, I have 0 magazines, and I don't know where they picked up the magazines. Like, magazines are pretty much like items you can throw to distract enemies, but I have none of them. And I don't know where like the players got their magazines, so now I'm just kind of stuck. I can't copy that exact strategy. However, once I run out of stun grenades, what I wait is I kind of wait for them to finish firing, then I go into first person, wait for them to come up, because like, I don't know, once they finish firing, like when they come up again, they're going to take a few seconds to kind of adjust the machine gun before firing again. However, the second time they come up, like after you shoot them, they'll fire immediately. So pretty much avoid the machine gun fire, then go into first person. And then pretty much the auto aim, if you're like on a higher like elevation point, or like if you can see them and actually aim at them, it'll like auto aim straight at them and you'll like deal damage. But then, you know, once they get back up, then they'll do the machine gun fire. However, one thing to keep in mind about this fight is that pretty much like once you kind of like take him out like that, the machine gun will be stuck in this place. So you don't really want to go to the left, because like the game can kind of do a nasty thing is if you try to like, if you, I don't know, for example here, like he finished firing at that point, if I run to the right and then try to avoid the machine guns running to the left, instead the bullets are going to curve and hit me, because like he'll start off firing from the left and instead go to the right. and that's just going to curve and hit me. So you have to keep that in mind when dealing with machine gun fire. Also, another thing to keep in mind is don't get too far away from the tank, because if you get too far away, then the rockets come out. That's why I'm throwing chafe grenades, kind of for safety. I'm not exactly sure if I really needed them. I wasn't that far away, but I've had a lot of bad luck encounters where like the chafe grenade got a little bit deadly. So here the second guard comes out, and he shoots the machine gun for way longer, so you have to run like a lot longer. You kind of have to route things a little better. Also, I mean, I started the fight off by running straight at the tank and going with the claymores, just chucking like 4 of them all at the same time in the same location, and this slows down the tank slightly, which makes fighting it easier, which is very nice. And it would probably make throwing the grenade easier, but I still suck ass at throwing the stun grenades. I've saved a couple just kind of to make this section of the fight easier, but I still did not throw them in the hole like I was supposed to, and I don't know how, because I swear I stand in the same location, I press the button the same exact way, but for some reason sometimes the throw is a little smaller, sometimes it's farther. It's like, it's weird, I don't get it. So instead I came up with my own strategy. Then over here, run all the way to the right there, and then once you do that, run back here to the elevated point, and then boom, auto aim fire. And we're just going to repeat that for the rest of this fight. We're going to stay in this area because the machine gun fire, if you go the other way, it's going to like do some weird curving and hit you, so no. And also, you got to stay in an area we can kind of see this guy getting up, because if you don't see this guy getting up, then you don't know when he's going to fire. And that was weird. Sometimes if you get to the point where they can't shoot you, then they'll just kind of save the machine gun fires for when you're actually visible. They could be a little cheeky like that. So yeah, I mean, it could be a little difficult, and honestly, it's like the one point in the game where I wish I didn't have the radar on, because the radar covers like a huge chunk of the screen where I'm trying to see this little guy get up from his little turret base so that I know when to run. So yeah, just kind of follow like my running patterns, and you should be fine and avoid damage. So it's pretty much like the kind of slow the slow way of taking this guy out if you suck ass at throwing stun grenades like me. So yeah, thankfully there is a way to like no damage this guy without only the stun grenades, like non-lethally, so that's very nice. So yeah, pretty much when you're running from the left, it's a little bit more tricky, so just kind of land in that little hole and the bullets should stop. And then go back here, aim at him. Very, very, very nice. So yeah. Alright, so let me get back to some previous topics I was talking about. I forgot to mention something earlier. Like, you remember the tank hangar, like the first time I was there? That's actually re-recorded footage, because I don't know what it is with this game and Metal Gear Solid 2, but like, I swear, every time I try to do one of these big videos, I forget to record something. Like, I don't know, somehow, like, a part of my footage is just gone, and I have to go back and replay the game to get it back, in a sense. Thankfully, this happened 2 times to me in this game, and thankfully those 2 times that it happened to me was pretty easy to deal with, because I had a save file for that exact moment, and the moments weren't too hard to recreate. But man, it's just like, why? So pretty much like the first moment where this happened to me in the Twin Snakes is when I first entered the tank hangar. For some reason, that was just gone, and that was like me collecting 2 dog tags. Like, hey, yo, what's happening with that? Why is that gone? Why do I not have that in my footage? So I went back, re-recorded it, got the dog tags. Very, very nice. And the second time that happens to me is when I'm climbing down the communication tower to go fight Sniper Wolf. That happens way, way later in my video, but that's like the other time I had to like redo something for this video. And those were the only times, thankfully. I mean, I've had more egregious examples in my Metal Gear Solid 2 video. And thankfully, like, I mean, it should be pretty seamless for like a segmented run type thing. So yeah, whatever, man. So, oh, I mean, I also forgot to mention that when I first entered this area before attacking the boss fight, I was kind of laying down and collecting claymores. And well, claymores have use for this fight in particular, because I can just kind of go up, use the claymores on the tank, and just kind of pop, 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 make it a little slower, make it a little easier to deal with. Very nice. And I'm using the thermal goggles here to check for any more claymores, where I kind of scour this area for more items before going to the next area. Also, to get back to my point about the dog tags, so when I keep saying that the game, like this game in Metal Gear Solid 2 needs to rework the dog tags, it's because they really are not essential at all. Now, in Metal Gear Solid 2, there's a better case for them, because they fit a lot better into the narrative of the entire game. Because like the dog tags in Metal Gear Solid 2 kind of build up to this epic climax at the end where Raiden retakes his own identity, because it's like, whose dog tags are these? And it's like, nah, they don't have my name on them, brother. They ain't me. so I'm not gonna claim them anymore. He throws them away. It's like this big epic, like, you know, moment. And like collecting the dog tags throughout the game is kind of a natural way to kind of build up to that payoff. And also collecting all the dog tags in Metal Gear Solid 2 also unlocks secret items, though to be fair, like beyond like that narrative thing and the secret items, they're pretty pointless, because like why would you risk, you know, holding up enemies in every single area just for like, you know, that narrative purpose? I mean, like the reason it still works for the narrative is because, like, I mean, with the new hold up mechanic, I'm sure players are going to experiment with that at some point, and at one point they might hold it up to the head and they might find that, oh, the guard will kind of shake and give me something, and then they'll kind of get the dog tag by accident. So it's like, okay, cool, so they'll pick up a dog tag, so like that kind of payoff at the end still works even if the player isn't trying to get all the dog tags. So anyways, here in this area, kind of like you can't enter it immediately because there's going to be a guard coming by, so you can kind of wait for one guard to pass by in like the kind of radar screen, then you kind of crawl through, then you wait by a wall for one guard to kind of move away, and then once that guard moves away, you climb up the stairs, and by the time you climb up to the stairs, if you're following the exact path I took, then the other guard who's like by the elevator will be looking away from you. You can kind of just go to the elevator and go from there. So anyways, here you can't collect any dog tags in like the nuke building because you can't use any weapons and you can't use any items which hold enemies up, so there are 0 dog tags to get in that area. Like, I was just kind of thinking, this room's gonna be super hard to get the dog tags in. It's gonna make me rethink like that entire section, but no, the game's just kind of like, you don't get them, so you just don't. So like that's probably one of the more complicated stealth rooms, which probably could have benefited from getting all the dog tags. And hell, they could have had a gimmick where you hold enemies up but you can't shoot anything, kind of like maybe you can only use a banana or something. Like Peace Walker did stuff like that, and that was cool, but I guess not. Oh well, missed potential. Though to be fair, it probably would have made the whole dog tag process a lot more frustrating, but also a lot more fun and engaging. But yeah, here this room's really simple. There's only 2 enemies, and there's gonna be a 3rd one later on, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So pretty much there's gonna be one in the bathroom. Go up to him, get his dog tag, and then get him. And now for this guy, pretty much just get his dog tag. The way I'm doing it is by using the box method, which wastes a little bit of time, but it is definitely very secure, very nice, and it always works. Though in some of the more complicated rooms, be careful that like 2 enemies don't notice you. Make sure that you're only isolating 1 enemy, because if 2 enemies are looking at you, then the box strat is pointless, because then the other enemy will notice you and that'll be game over. But yeah, beyond that, the dog tags are still pretty useless in Metal Gear Solid 2, and in the Twin Snakes they have even less reason to be useful. Like, why the hell is Snake collecting dog tags? It doesn't unlock anything, it doesn't have any narrative purpose, it's just kind of like a holdover from Metal Gear Solid 2, and it's a very nice holdover. It makes the game more fun, but there's like only if you like want to, like only if you're obsessive like me and like the way the dog tags change the gameplay loop, but there's no actual reason to do this. Like, it's pointless. It's only for like completion's sake. It's just like a very like minimal completionist item, and that's pretty much its only purpose. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 2 is a little bit more to it than that, but it's still just a very niche completionist item. What I'm saying is that for this kind of like, I don't know, grid-based radar stealth with dog tags, the dog tags should be made an objective of the game, where you have to collect all the dog tags in an area, and that's how the game works. And the VR missions kind of do this in Metal Gear Solid 2, but man, I have problems with the VR missions. Like, I don't know, I mean, I have problems with the VR missions. Like, the thing with the VR missions is that it is so bloated. There is so much bloat in those things that it just kind of makes it a bit unbearable. So once we get to this part, we have to use the Nikita, and I don't know, one sad thing about the Twin Snakes and the Nikita is that you can only use the Nikita in first person. It does not have a third person view, and the first person is more useful most of the time. However, in this section, third person is more useful. Like, first person kind of makes it a little bit more confusing to navigate this area, and if you put it in the wrong place, then the missiles will blow it up, and that's kind of sad. So that's one thing which I don't like. And here I'm almost about to take damage because of my life box, but thankfully I'm gonna exit in just the nick of time so that I don't, take damage. I mean, it's first your oxygen, but then once the oxygen goes, it's your life. And you do not want to take away your life in a no damage run. So yeah, I mean, pretty much just, I don't know how they would like rework the story to make it that the dog tags are actually needed to collect. I guess maybe Twin Snakes here could have used the VR missions of its own to have kind of these missions, like kind of hold up missions, but oh well. like, I mean, the thing with the VR missions, like, you know, when you play with the first character, that's pretty much like the easy mode of like those missions. And you do like those missions all at, you know, once, and it's fun. But then like every single other character is just like hard mode and harder modes, and it just kind of keeps escalating over and over to an annoying degree. And you're in the same areas. You're not experiencing really new content. You're just experiencing harder versions of the same content, and like the lengths the game will go to just have harder and harder versions of the same thing you've already played like 9 or 10 times already, and like those 9 or 10 times you've been playing those levels are like 5 or 10 levels each, which turn to 50 levels, which like 4/5 of them are just the same shit you've already experienced. It's fucking grueling, is what I'm trying to say. Side note, but the Twin Snakes adds a really nice thing from Metal Gear Solid 2 where you don't have to equip your key card every single time you like enter a door, so it just opens automatically if you have the right key card, regardless if you have it equipped on your like lower left like corner there. So that's very much appreciated. It makes the experience smoother. Very nice. And I will say, like the way Snake feels in this game is smoother. I mean, copying it from Metal Gear Solid 2, like, I don't know, his movement in that game just feels smoother than the PS1 game, which can feel a little clunky here and there. So that's also a very nice addition here. And oh my god, look at how much little oxygen I have. Like, it's kind of crazy that I actually exit this area with like enough oxygen to not take damage. Like, I'm really risking it on these things. Like, oh my goodness. Also, you can shoot out the gun turret cameras, but I don't know, that takes a little bit too much time for like my preference. So instead, I'm just gonna use the chaff grenades to collect the items on the left side. But the right side, I think I am going to try to shoot at the camera. And thankfully, the radar makes it easier to figure out where the cameras are. Because I know without a radar, this would have been even more complicated. And, oh, I guess using first-person mode to actually shoot now, the gas mask is actually a problem. So now I have to actually take it off to aim correctly. So one thing I don't like about the Twin Snakes is that, I don't know, stuff like cameras and also certain other like boss fight type things, they camouflage really well into the background. Part of that might be that it's 480p, but I don't know, I doubt it. I think that these things still like camouflage a little too well. Because in the original game, it wasn't like that. Like, the cameras kind of had this nice bold color and contrast away from the environment. And I guess that kind of plays into like this game versus like the original game's like visual styles. And I don't want to say that, oh, one game good, one game bad, though I do vastly prefer like the style of the original game for the most part. Is that the Twin Snakes, even though it adopts like a higher fidelity, it definitely has higher fidelity graphics. Like, the models are actually have like facial expressions now. They're not just like painted on, and also the animations are smoother. But like the overall color palette of the game is a little more muted. Like, there's a better word for this. Like, it kind of adopts a lighter color palette. Like, it's not nearly as dark or like as contrasty as the original game. Like, the original game's colors and areas have this really great contrast, and sometimes like that contrast still kind of like exists in the Twin Snakes. I say this room is a pretty good recreation overall, but like, some other areas could blend into a little bit too gray, or sometimes it isn't as oppressive as the original game. Like, the original game could have these really dark blues and like black skies, while in this game those skies turn more to like light green, kind of like a cool light green, you know, kind of lighter colors, more subdued overall. And it just kind of makes the game not have as much, like the area of Shadow Moses not have as much presence to it anymore, which is a bit of a shame. Oh yeah, my strategy for Gray Fox, it's exactly the same as my strategy for Gray Fox in my OG Metal Gear Solid 1 video, which is kind of nice. Though the melee has a bit of a different feel this time, it's still pretty much the same fight. You pretty much started off by pretty much attacking the sword phase, and then once he goes into hand-to-hand phase, this is the hardest part of the fight. Well, I mean, this part can also be considered the hardest part of the fight, but there's ways to cheese this part with chaff grenades, which will pretty much kind of put him out into the open. But pretty much like the hand-to-hand phase is the hardest part, because you pretty much have to wait for him to kind of dodge. You pretty much go to the bottom of the room and then wait for him to jump over like the desk and stuff. And once he jumps over, attack him. And then once you attack him, he'll do like a little dodge away from you. Follow his dodge and immediately attack him once you reach him, once he's done with his dodge. And then he'll do it again. And then on his third time, he'll do a jumping attack. So you need to keep some distance away from him. And then once he's done with his jumping attack, he's going to dodge again, follow the dodge, and then attack him. You have to be precise, you have to be fast on your feet, and it's very challenging. And then for this invisible phase, I don't know. Like I tried to bait him out in certain rooms, but it was kind of tough in this game. I think like this section may be harder here than it was in the original, or maybe I was just having bad luck. And then once you enter like the final phase here, it's pretty much the easiest part. Just run at him, and then he'll teleport a few times, and then he'll do a big punch, and then you just attack him after he's done with a big punch. In fact, this phase is easier in this game because I think he has longer windups and cooldowns. That might not be the right term to use when referring to this guy, but pretty much, yeah, I think he has like longer windups and cooldowns and all that. So I mean, when he punches, it'll take longer for him to kind of go back to normal. Or maybe it's just, maybe you can just read him easier with his animations and all that. Like his animations aren't as like curt or short as like the original game. I don't know how to describe it, but it just feels easier. I will say one disappointment with this fight is that the final phase, which was in the original game where he just goes crazy and all electric and all that, it's not in this one, like during gameplay. I'm assuming they like switched it over to the cutscenes, but that kind of ruins the impact of it because it's such a scary little moment. Cause you just beat this guy, he has 0 health, and he just goes, "Ah!" Like, oh, what? Like, I mean, what? You were like, what? Imagine you're like 9 playing this mature game in 1998, and that just happens. Like, it just scares the crap out of you. Like, what are you supposed to do now? Like, what? And yeah, so I'm assuming the reason they didn't include it was just because they wanted to make it a cool cutscene, and also because you would actually have to shoot him. And for like big boss run, that kind of ruins the new non-lethal thing, which this game added. For, you know, there's that. I should probably mention some important YouTubers, because I did look at some YouTube videos to kind of figure out strategies and also to make sure I didn't miss any dog tags. So Tyler, 2020, did a speed run of the game getting all the dog tags in like about an hour, and I found out how to get the PAL card back because of him. At one point, at like pretty much nearly at the very end of the game, you lose your PAL card and you have to get it back, and I didn't know exactly how to do it, but his video showed me a way to do it, so that was very cool. Remy Sausage has a series where he gets all the dog tags, and that was useful for knowing all the enemies which did or didn't have dog tags. So there are 37 dog tags in this game, and I found out because of that video. So very nice, very nice. And now Jaguar King. Once again, I watched his video on the Twin Snakes to pretty much figure out how to no damage all the boss fights, which helped me with my own attempts at no damaging the boss fights. And BBK Hardcore Entertainment Production did the whole game without saving, with all the cutscenes, and he is a crazy person, very skilled, like amazing video. Though I didn't use his video much for my run, but like that is an amazing achievement. I just had to shout it out, and I did use his video for help in certain points, so just need to shout that guy out. So yeah, those are pretty much like the important YouTubers I saw. And also, I don't know how to pronounce. Oh, Mario. Anyway, so back. So then there's a FAQ guide, a fact guide, whereby Ceribiscus. Yeah, Ceribiscus guide for the big boss rank was also very useful in kind of the written word, though sometimes it was kind of hard to follow, but it was very useful for trying to get the big boss run in this game. So also have to shout that out. And also, this is completely unrelated, but just something about the Twin Snakes is that it's an addition. So in the original game, when you would save during a boss fight, when you reload that save, it would load you like in the area outside of that boss fight. While in the Twin Snakes, when you like save during a boss fight and you reload that save, it will actually load you directly into that boss fight. So I don't know, when I'm dying multiple times when trying to do these no damage videos, that saves a lot of time. So very happy about that. Very cool. Also, another thing which I haven't mentioned yet is the codex. So I played the PC version of like the original Metal Gear Solid game, pretty much Metal Gear Solid Integral, and the way you can skip coda conversations in that game is just by skipping them entirely. However, in the original PS1 and the PS3 digital release of that game, you actually have to manually press a button to skip all the dialogue, and that was very slow. So this game adopts the Metal Gear Solid 2 way of skipping codec conversations, which is pretty much to fast forward through it all. It's not as fast as a PC version of Metal Gear Solid Integral, but it is very fast, and it's much faster than the original game, so much appreciated there as well. Also, I'm not sure if this is true in the original game, but you can kind of shoot the computers and monitors in Gray Fox's fight. Like, I mean, like, the room will get damaged in the original fight, though, since you can actually aim in first person now, you can actually shoot the monitors in first person. And that kind of has a nice tactile feel to it, too. So, very nice. Also, in my previous video, like in my Metal Gear Solid 1 video, I kind of said, yo, Otacon, he's awesome. But I'm not sure if I really elaborated on it. Like, I mentioned it a little bit, but I just kind of want to go more into detail why Otacon is awesome. Just that it's such a compelling story in relationship to Snake, because I mean, Snake's kind of going through like this whole deal of like taking on this mission and being lied to by everyone around him. Like, he thinks he's doing one thing, but he's actually been doing another thing this whole time. And Otacon, even though he's from a completely different walk of life, like, I mean, you know, you got Snake, this badass warrior, but then you got Otacon, this kind of nerd. But like, they're so similar in like what they're going through, because like Otacon's going through the same thing. He's doing this, like, you know, one thing, oh, I'm gonna build this robot, you know, it's gonna be cool, it's gonna help people, but then he learns to launch nukes, and it just, his whole worldview is kind of like shattering, like right at that moment. And like Snake and Otacon kind of bond through that experience. So even though Otacon is kind of this, like, his name freaking means otaku convention, like, what a loser, like, despite all that, like, I mean, these dudes like form like a strong bond, and like that bond like pays off throughout the entire series. Metal Gear Solid 2 like has that one really emotional moment, and then like, I mean, in Metal Gear Solid 4 they adopt a kid, so I mean, they're not gay, but like, women be damned. Like, they probably are gay, but like, I mean, Otacon sleeps with too many women, but let's call him bisexual for now. But they adopt a kid, they're fucking married at that point. But yeah, like, the relationship really pays off throughout the entire series. So just, I don't know, just really great. Probably one of the strongest like foundations, and probably one of the just strongest character relationships throughout the entire series. So yeah, I just really wanted to talk about that more. Just really like my boy Otacon. So okay, here's one thing I don't like about dog tags. Kind of like the puzzle aspect of them sometimes, because I don't know, if you're trying to get all of them, then like certain puzzle ones can be a bit annoying. So when you're trying to find Meryl, you actually have to knock Meryl out, pretty much carry her body while she's in this suit, because that's one dog tag, one extra dog tag. That's Johnny's dog tag, because she's wearing Johnny's suit. So pretty much, yeah, knock her out, carry her, and then like she'll wake up after you drop her. And then there's a fourth dog tag, and it's just Meryl. So when you're outside, you have to like pretty much put Meryl unconscious, carry her body, and then you get Meryl's dog tag. These are two completely different dog tags. Also, it should be noted that once you like knock out Meryl, she's gonna wake up and try to hit you. That'll pretty much damage you. So what you want to do is, once you get her dog tag, run into the next room to kind of cancel that out, because oh my goodness, you do not want that slap. So yeah, like these, like, I mean, that's the kind of the one frustrating thing about dog tags, is like those puzzle aspects that kind of make it more annoying to get all of them. So if you make it more of a main objective and like, you know, tell the player, hey yo, like, you know, you missed a few, there's like a few more hidden ones, then maybe that could give them more incentive to be more creative. But when it's just like this optional, like, you know, niche, like completionist objective, like these more hidden ones are just annoying. Like, I mean, it's kind of like you're kind of asking the player to look up a guide at that point. So anyways, here we're in the Psycho Mantis fight, though we're just knocking out Meryl at the moment. And I will say, Meryl is way more aggressive with the gun in this game than in the original. Like, once she starts shooting, she does not stop. And also, she kind of gets to shooting a lot quicker. Like, I mean, in the original, she would shoot once, pause, shoot once, pause. But here it's like pop, 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 pop. So, I mean, once you're like on the other receiving end of her fire, it does not stop until you put a stop to it. So, oh my goodness. So, yeah, thankfully, I mentioned before that in the PC version, like, Psycho Mantis was kind of nerfed. Like, he can't actually read your mind. He doesn't do any of the right mind reading, which is such a shame. While here he does. And it's related to more Nintendo games. So, you know, it's a GameCube, whatever. And also he blacks out the screen, so pretty much we're fighting Psycho Mantis in his full glory this time. However, there's been some modifications because this is on GameCube, and also because you have Metal Gear Solid 2 mechanics now, so you can aim in first person. However, in the original fight, when you aimed in first person, you saw things from Psycho Mantis' perspective. However, this game still wants you to aim in first person, but you're now at a disadvantage because you only have like 1 or 2 seconds to do so before your vision is shifted to Psycho Mantis vision. So pretty much, I don't know, the way I kind of start that fight off is, well, first off, you need to plug your controller port into the 4th controller port. Now, you could plug it into the 2nd and 3rd one, but then after like a minute or two, Psycho Mantis will begin reading your mind again. However, once you plug it into the 4th controller port, he's never going to read your mind again. So that's just kind of one difference from the original to this game, and it's a pretty nice, innovative addition. So what you want to do is you want to shoot this guy's toes. For some reason, Psycho Mantis' toes deal like the most damage to him non-lethally, and I don't know why. I'm assuming it's because he's levitating so much that his leg work is just abysmal. So like during this armor phase, he's gonna move a lot, which is going to make it hard to crawl to him to shoot his toes. And that's another thing. So in the original game, you crawl to avoid like those like most of his psychic attacks. And there's very few psychic attacks which you can't avoid with crawling. I don't think you can avoid the chairs with crawling. However, not like when you're crawling in the original game, you can't attack back. However, here you can go into first person mode and get on the offensive while crawling. And one time when Psycho Mantis doesn't move too much, when like crawling, one time when Psycho Mantis does not move that much is when he summons like the deer heads. For some reason, he stays pretty still during that point. So that's a really good opening to go ahead and shoot his toes, because he just stands still, and that deals the most damage. And with a tranquilizer, and also it's not too hard to aim. Like, I mean, there's like faster speedrunny ways to kind of deal with this, like easier. And also with Meryl, you don't have to throw her so much. You can actually just go up and beat the shit out of her, and she'll be stunned. She won't exactly die. So yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a difference from the original fight. And also, I love this effect they do with the room where it kind of goes all, whoa, it's like a Rubik's Cube, but transparent. I have no idea what that means. I don't know how to describe it, but like when the room starts rotating and all that, really cool effect, really disorientating, pretty cool. However, one thing which I don't like about this room, ayo, in the OG game, there was reflections. But ayo, yo, where are the reflections, you hacks? Oh my god, I thought I could escape Kiwami 2, but not even here, man. Not even on the GameCube. We're missing the PS1 reflections. What? Like, how could a PS1 game with its limited processing power have reflections, but the powerful GameCube lacks it? Oh, curious indeed. Yeah. So yeah, Psycho Mantis fight, it kind of plays out the same as the original, but when you're crawling, you can actually get on the offensive. And also, when he's like kind of floating around here, no, it doesn't play as it does not play out like the original at all. Because I'm doing this non-lethally, so I can't use the FAMAS to get easy shots in. I can only use the tranquilizer pistol, which kind of requires a little bit more degree of like aiming. Also, whenever he does the shadow ball thing, instead of using the tranquilizer pistol, I'm actually just straight up going for melee attacks. Because like, I don't know, one thing I did in like the original fight is I would use Psycho Mantis' like first person perspective to figure out where he is. However, in this game, that's not a viable strategy anymore. Because when you first enter first person mode, it's like 1 or 2 seconds before you shift to his perspective. So it's not really like something you can use on the fly. So that's kind of out of the way. So instead, I'm using the thermal goggles to kind of guess where he goes, and then I'm just kind of trying to adapt as best as I can to a situation. It's tough, but with a bit of practice, you can kind of get used to it. And also another thing you can do if you time it right, or if you're in the right position, or if Psycho Mantis doesn't get all greedy on you, is that you can kind of just keep him stuck in one location by hitting him a bunch. Like, I don't know, every time he like kind of recovers and before he flies away, you can kind of keep hitting him. I forget if I actually do it in this fight in particular, but I have done it a few times before, and it was pretty satisfying. So yeah, like, oh yeah, his final phase here, like, once he summons all these objects, it comes out super fast, so be on the lookout for it and start crawling, because it comes out like way faster than it did in the OG game. So I mean, this fight, it has the same phase as the OG game, but you know, with the first person aiming and with Mantis' weak ass toes, it changes up the dynamic quite a bit. So yeah, I do quite like this fight, and I definitely prefer playing this over playing it on a keyboard. But oh my god, what the reflective surface, where is it? So yeah, once you take out Psycho Mantis like non-lethally, you can pick him up to get a dog tag. So alright, cool. And that'll be a recurring thing, which happens with the rest of the boss fights, which you take out non-lethally, and also they die in the room which you're in. Oh, I should also mention that when you're finding Meryl and you go to the bathroom, in the original game, you would actually enter that bathroom and go to the stall where she tricks you and holds you up, but in the Twin Snakes, a cutscene just plays. And that's kind of a weird like thing which keeps happening in the Twin Snakes. Like, I don't know, interactivity is kind of taken away for more cutscenes. And for a game which most people say isn't that interactive, taking away less interaction in those moments is kind of weird. But this game also adds more interaction with like more complicated gameplay mechanics from like Metal Gear Solid 2. So it's kind of a, I don't know what phrase to use for that. So anyways, for this like cave area, same thing as the original. You have to run through it really fast to kind of get through it. But actually, no, that's not even true, because you could kind of take it slow and then just kind of make sure to exit when the dogs aren't looking at you, and then you can take them out with the tranquilizer pistol. So, you know, that's kind of one cool thing to do. But you could also just do what I did in the original game and kind of run past them really quickly so you can get to this area, though it's kind of more likely you're going to get damaged. And also, once you get to this part, knock Meryl over, equip the box so you can get the piss box to make going back to that area easier. So here, Meryl does like this big complicated path thing, and now you can actually skip that cutscene, which is very nice. You know, there were some cutscenes you couldn't skip in the original game, which you can skip now, which I very much appreciate. However, this area is a lot more annoying now because, alright, so let me look up on my notes here. No. So yeah, like the claymores in Sniper Wolf's area are actually now a threat. You can't run forward to avoid them. You actually have to follow Meryl's path or just crawl through the claymores. Also, when you leave the area to kind of backtrack, you still have to watch out for claymores if you didn't pick up all of them, because they can still blow up while you're running away from Sniper Wolf. Like, that wasn't really an issue I ran into in the OG game, but here, it is an issue. So, like, I mentioned once that, you know, that they don't blow up in the OG game, but it'd be kind of annoying if they did, but now they do. So, I'm doing a very tedious thing where I try to collect everything by kind of doing this little zigzag thing, like, you know, left and right, just to make sure that when I dip out of this room, I'm not gonna get randomly exploded by a claymore I can't see. And also, mine detector. Where do you get the mine detector? I mean, like, it's only really an issue for me in one section and not even. Like, I never got the mine detector in this game, and like, I just, where do you even get it? Like, come on, man. See, I run away from Sniper Wolf to kind of backtrack to get the sniper rifle. And thankfully in this game, the backtracking is nowhere near as egregious if you want to stay non-lethal, because there's a non-lethal sniper rifle which is way closer to your position than the lethal sniper rifle. So you can just go get that non-lethal sniper rifle and just quit the hassle of going all the way to practically the beginning of the game. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And also, if you're only going for the non-lethal sniper rifle, you don't have to deal with the dumb laser puzzle with the lethal sniper rifle going all diagonal, that ew. I'm very glad, you know, we lit. Now, I want to mention a very specific YouTube video made by Jack Dunn Surfer, where it's pretty much Metal Gear Solid 1 versus a Twin Snake. It's like the most popular video on the subject, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. And I want to bring this video up because I do agree with a lot of its points, and pretty much it's kind of just comparing how the Twin Snakes kind of fails to be a remake in comparison to the original in terms of visuals, presentation, music, like just kind of the whole shebang, and also even gameplay. And while I agree with pretty much everything besides like the gameplay comparisons, I want to talk about the gameplay comparisons because like there is some truth to it. Like certain areas can be cheesed really easily now due to your extended moveset. Oh, here I ran out of tranquilizer ammo and now I'm just kind of screwed. I forget how this screws me really bad, but it kind of does. But yeah, I mean, back to the video. So I don't know, I mean, some areas can be broken and certain boss fights are kind of ruined. Like the Revolver Ocelot fight is kind of a massive joke now, and some other fights are kind of ruined, like, I don't know, thematically because of the changes to like the gameplay. But I wouldn't exactly agree that the gameplay is 100% worse, and even that it's like even as worse than the first game. I'd say that in some aspects the gameplay here is better than the first game, but only if you take into account the stuff like dog tags. Because yeah, the rooms might be a little too simple, you know, like the rooms might be like cheesed, but not if you're going for dog tags. Because if you're going for dog tags, now you kind of have to rethink everything, and also the way enemies can see you with like the yellow caution state, you know, because like they reworked the way line of sight works in Metal Gear Solid 2, where like there's like the blue cone where if you're in that area they'll go into alert, but if you're kind of near the blue cone they'll go into yellow and go, who's that? And they'll check out the person they saw off in the distance. That kind of complicates things too, along with like the dog tags. I mean, yeah, dog tags are pointless, but they do make the game more fun in the way you approach it. It's just that, you know, for new players, people just want to go through the game, there's literally no incentive to get any dog tags. So that's just an issue with Metal Gear Solid 2 and this one. So shame. Unless you're just a diehard completionist or just want more fun stealth gameplay. So that's kind of like one disagreement I have with the post, but like the video. But like the rest of the video is pretty spot on. And it's kind of spot on in ways which I'm not going to be able to get too specific with, because when I replayed this game, I only replayed this once for this video. I did not look at the cutscenes. while playing the game. I don't know, when my Metal Gear Solid 1 video, I like played it first normally, going through all the cutscenes, and then I did my playthrough where I did the no damage. But for this game, I did my no damage playthrough, and that's it, because man, I'm not gonna enjoy the redone cutscenes. Like, I'm sure there's like quite a few things I missed, and I can get into way more specific detail if I actually did go through that first initial normal cutscene playthrough, but most of it is just kind of crap, and it's just gonna frustrate me while I'm replaying this game. So instead, I'm just gonna go through the gameplay, which is like the biggest improvement here, and just kind of do that. I did do some like research. I kind of compared a few cutscenes here and there, and I'll talk about that more later. But right now, we are at the sniper wolf fight, and my strategy in like in the OG game is I would pretty much line myself against the wall and wait for her to get behind the pole there, because that's the only time she'll like kind of take a consistent pause for me to kind of step out, and I'll still be safe to shoot her. And it's still true in this game, except you can't do it normally. Like in the previous game, you had this really nice wide like area field of view, so you could see where she was going, but here that entire area of view is like just straight up dark, so you can't see her unless you pull out the thermal goggles. Then you can kind of briefly see a heat signature coming from the figure, and that's how I pretty much figure out where she's going. But you have to be on the right side, because if you're on the left side, you actually won't be able to see her go to like this pole here. That's not really a pole. There's a like that structure which blocks her, like that. I don't know what that's called, but I'm calling it a pole. And yeah, you have to be on the right side of like this cover to pretty much figure that out. So yeah, and then once you do that, you pretty much once you're safe to fire at her, you have to pretty much get her every single time, or else she'll fire you, and that's pretty much the fight, and that's how it goes. But one advantage is you can actually fire while standing up. However, because of that, I now have to use the drugs. I use the drugs in the original. Yeah, you're still using the drugs to pretty much steady your aim. Also, they added something to this area, a gun turret in the hallway. So like if you're just looking in the little holes to get extra items, boom, gun turret, you take damage. That was so stupid. Like, oh my goodness. Like, this game sometimes add things just to annoy players. Like, the whole Claymore section is just so cheeky. Like, I hate you. Like, I hate you, game. You're trash. Get out of here. So here we have the torture section, and the torture section is like, there's a weird difference. It's way faster here, so like you take more damage, but it's also, the timer is also a lot shorter. So,
shall we go again?
But even with all these like concessions to make it a little harder, it's easier, because you're like slamming that like regain strength button like for less time than you would in the original game. So even if the game's dealing more damage to you at a faster rate, you're spamming that button for less time. So this is much easier than the original game, thankfully. So you don't really have to spam that button as hard. I mean, you'll be spamming it as hard as the original, but nowhere near for the same amount of time. Like, I mean, look at that. After like 3 attempts, that's like what, like 1 attempt in the original game, 2 attempts. Like, it's definitely not as demanding. Anyways, here I think I'm letting this cutscene play out because I'm looking up Otacon's codec again. I forgot it again, but I'm not gonna let like the codec play out. I'm instead gonna let this cutscene play out while I look it up online, because I know I'm gonna need to call it in the next section. So, yeah. Actually, I don't think you really need to call it, but I do call it just to be sure, just to be safe, you know? Yeah. Also, when you enter this person section, this codec conversation plays out immediately. In the original game, you either had to call them for it to play out, or it would play out a little bit later. But now it happens immediately. So yeah, there's that. Also, side note. I mean, to be fair, this video is going to be filled with a bunch of side notes. I think it's less a side note, more I'm moving on to like another subject. But I don't know, in the original game, there was kind of this echo effect to the voices in certain areas that's kind of gone in the Twin Snakes, and whether like that original echo effect was a cause of the voice recordings being a lower quality than like the new Twin Snakes recordings, it doesn't matter, because it was a really cool effect that kind of gave space to the area. Yes, I took this point from like that video I mentioned about Metal Gear Solid versus the Twin Snakes, but I just kind of wanted to bring it up, and I don't know exactly how to transition to talking about the voice acting in this game. So I don't know, it's like the way I outlined this is kind of a pain in the ass. So we have a lot of time here, so I think I'll go over it. So the voice acting in the Twin Snakes. So first we have Solid Snake. So I don't know, his voice acting in the original Metal Gear Solid, it's kind of like his first performance as his character. And there's like a few stumbling points where he hasn't exactly come to terms with how he's going to deliver this character. It's mostly like the really grumbly lines. Like the Sniper Wolf cutscene where she's first introduced and shoots Meryl is a great example of this. Like, I don't know, the way he goes, Meryl! Or, no, don't do it! It's kind of forced, like the way he's going about it. So that's kind of him still working his way through how he's going to voice act this character. He hasn't really found a nice medium or like a safe space for how he could act as this character. Like this kind of safe space with the grumbling, he kind of comes more to terms with it in like future games like Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, definitely 4, and Peace Walker onwards. Well, after Peace Walker, he stops voicing the character, but he becomes he becomes like his delivery of his grumbles become a lot more natural. However, a side effect of this, of kind of like this new newbie performance, is that there's this smoothness to his voice when he's not doing like the excessive grumbling that is kind of unmatched in future entries, at least when it comes to like kind of this smooth, cool delivery. And it really like it elevates certain emotional moments to really high peak. Like Sniper Wolf's death, like in the original game, has such a great like feeling to it from the way Snake delivers all his lines. It's really amazing voice acting stuff. Like, I mean, the original like game has some of the best voice acting in really any game, especially for its time. Oh my goodness. So, but then there's, well, I keep saying Solid Snake. The guy who voiced Solid Snake is David Hayter. Don't count on me to remember the names of all the actors. I didn't do that much research. But yeah. But now David Hayter in the Twin Snakes, he's adopting like his more natural grumbly voice. I mean, as I keep mentioning like more natural, the reason I keep mentioning that is because in an interview at some point he said that when he was trying to do the grumbling voice, he struggled with it throughout like the first game, but then once he got to the second game, he found a more natural way to keep the grumbling to have a more consistent natural grumbling where he wasn't really straining his voice that much. He just did it naturally. I am not doing it naturally because I do not have that experience. But yeah, so like his grumbling's more natural, and I'd say that his voice acting during that Sniper Wolf beginning cutscene is better in the Twin Snakes. It's just such a shame that Sniper Wolf cutscene is fucking horrible in the Twin Snakes. What? Like the way they redid everything with slow motion, with Meryl just standing there like a freaking doofus. Like it's so stupid in like the Twin Snakes, and also the way they redid the music just takes out the impact. Though in the original game, it's still not one of the better moments in that game. Like in the original game, Snake's voice acting is probably at his, like David Hayter's voice acting is probably at his worst in like the original game during that exact moment where he's going, Meryl, stop, no! But like the music, the way Meryl delivers her lines during that moment, like, oh my goodness. I mean, it's such a powerful moment. And also the music, once again, The Best Is Yet to Come is used a lot of times throughout the original Metal Gear Solid. And a lot of these very special emotional moments are just gone in the Twin Snakes as they replace it with like other music which just does not capture the vibe really at all, or nowhere near to the impact which The Best Is Yet to Come captured it. And that's a whole other topic which I'll get to later. But yeah, Solid Snake in the Twin Snakes, David Hayter's performance. So yeah, the grumbling's more natural, and some lines are delivered better than the original, but like that kind of coolness in his voice is kind of gone because his exaggeration kind of becomes a bit of a flanderization of that original performance. And to be honest, I don't want to blame David Hayter for this. And to be fair, like most of the acting issues in this game aren't really the fault of the actors themselves. I have a feeling that it's a lot more to do with the direction, because David Hayter has delivered like that kind of grumbling voice in like more nuanced, exciting ways in future games. Like, I mean, Metal Gear Solid like 4, I mean, Peace Walker. I mean, he could deliver a very powerful performance in this more grumbling, exaggerated fashion. But like, I don't know, the direction here just isn't really giving him much, like isn't really directing him in that direction. So yeah, like I still say his performance in the OG game is kind of unmatched, though his OG performance is by no means perfect. Like, I mean, there's definitely improvements which David Hayter has made in his little subtle nuances in the way he delivers lines and all that, which is a little bit appreciated in the Twin Snakes. It's just that he's also kind of lost some of that original charm. I don't know, some of the original charm is lost with the way he delivers lines in this game. And then there's the Colonel, which, oh man, the Colonel. So the thing with Colonel is that in the original game, he had this like great emotion to him, which is just kind of gone here. And like the reason for that is that, anyways, here I'm going to throw out the bomb, because now I know I have a bomb. Like, the issue is that it's like he's delivering his lines the same way he's delivered his lines in Metal Gear Solid 2. But in Metal Gear Solid 2, he delivered them very less. He didn't really have much emotion to his delivery in Metal Gear Solid 2, and that was intentional. At least I hope it's intentional, because it fits perfectly with the narrative of that game, because he is a lifeless robot. He's not the Colonel. But here he's delivering it like that lifeless robot he was in Metal Gear Solid 2, but here it doesn't fit. Where's the emotion, my guy? You be Ben 10's granddad, bro. What's going on with that? So anyways, here, we're going to revisit this area because there is an extra guard which was added when you had to backtrack for the lethal sniper rifle. So, I don't know, in the original game, like, you get the guard key to get the lethal sniper rifle, and in that room, they add a fourth guard which guards that exact area which you need to get the sniper rifle from. And the way this translates to in the Twin Snake is that you now have to go after that guard to get the extra dog tag which they have. So, yeah, I'm getting all the wrong ones. Like, these guys don't have the dog tag. It's this guy right here, the one guarding the room. He's extra, and I have to take it. So, in the Twin Snakes, you don't have to backtrack to get the lethal sniper rifle to get this dog tag. You can instead wait until you break out of the prison, which puts you right next to this area, and then just get it at that point. And if you want, you can also pick up the lethal sniper rifle, but I am not going to kill anyone in this game, so there's no point for me to get it. I have, like, the non-lethal one, so I'm just going to deal with that. So once you get that sniper rifle, there's no real reason to linger in this room any longer, and we should probably leave, though I think I'm going to go down. I think I'm going to scour this area to get, like, more stun grenades, I believe. So I'm just going to knock out all the guards first before doing that. I think I'm also going to go down to, like, the other areas to get more stun grenades and all that. And, oh man, how am I going to deal with this caution state? That's going to be a bit weird. I might just head to the elevator, or I might just head down to kind of avoid all that nonsense. Yeah, I'm going to head down. I mean, man, that was a very big window to kind of avoid, you know, the extra patrol. So, yeah, now I'm going to explore this area to get more stun grenades, which is going to be very important for the next section of this, like, game. But they don't exactly help too much, but they help a bit. So, it's nice to use them. But yeah, now, Meryl. Man, I really gotta, like, bring up, like, the actors and actresses behind, like, the Colonel and Meryl, but I do not have those names jotted down. And frankly, I didn't do too much research because, man, this is just a commentary video. It's not a full video essay, man. Come on, man. Don't do me like this. So, whatever. Just take it at face value. So, Meryl's performance, I don't really see too many big differences, but I didn't study it all that much. I didn't look at all the cutscenes, yada, 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 yada. Because it would just kind of frustrate me in my replay of this game. And I'm more focused on the gameplay than I am the story at this exact moment. But, man, there's just so much you could do with this game. I could easily make, like, a Kiwami rant style video on, like, the differences between the first Metal Gear Solid and the Twin Snakes. But those kind of videos have already been made. I just mentioned one. So there's not really much room for me to do that, except for maybe to take a deeper dive in the differences between the cutscenes. Though maybe that video still exists. I don't know. I mean, I like, there's a few Twin Snakes videos I haven't seen. But, like, I don't know, maybe, like, more kind of getting to the specifics of, like, certain differences and if they work or not. Because, like, the differences in the Twin Snakes are not inherently good or bad. Like, slow-mo, like, exaggerated action is not exactly an inherently good or bad thing to add to the Twin Snakes. It's just that a majority of the slow-mo action scenes which they added are insanely stupid and tone-deaf. And that's the thing, like, Metal Gear Solid has a very divergent tone, but it's not exactly tone-deaf. Well, I mean, some things are tone-deaf. But, like, most of the time, when it's working really well, it's not a tone-deaf game. It's just a game which, like, has, like, these two wildly different tones which play off well against each other. But these new additions kind of break that. And the thing is, like, these additions are added to, like, scenes which are originally serious. Like, yeah, this game definitely has silly scenes. So, to be fair, Metal Gear Solid 1 is one of the more serious games in comparison to, like, its future titles, but it still has silly moments. But, like, the stuff which this game adds, which it adds silly stuff to moments which were not silly at all. So that's kind of like what upsets people. It's not that, oh, they added something stupid to a stupid game. It's that they added something stupid to the most emotional scenes in the game. Like, so that's kind of like why people get so angry about it with the differences between this game and the other game. It's not that they hate this fun, goofy game. It's that they hate that like this game is, like, delegitimizing some really powerful moments from the original. So yeah, once you get, like, that extra, like, dog tag, you pretty much continue on. And now this is a difference with this game and the OG game. So sometimes the OG game would force you to explore, like, empty space when you're backtracking, or even in its final areas. But in this game, they actually add extra guards. to kind of, I guess, add to the challenge and make it a little bit more engaging while backtracking. And I do appreciate this, because now this little snowfield, it's not just you avoiding cameras. Now you have to deal with these enemies. Now, an issue the original game had is that its second area, like the little helipad place, is probably like the most complicated stealth challenge in the entire game, and it never gets any more challenging than that. There's not really any future areas to really match that one in terms of scale and like production, and just like it's such a perfect little stealth box for like its type of gameplay. And that's still true for the Twin Snakes, though it does put up more of a valiant effort to kind of present more stealth challenges even as it reaches its climax. But even those challenges don't compare to the complexity of that second area. So the Twin Snakes, it kind of like mitigates, it kind of like what's the word, it definitely works really hard to kind of get rid of that issue of like the second half of this game being like a bit dull in comparison to the first half, but it still holds that issue, like even with all the changes. But these extra guards are nice, though this area is pretty easy. Like, I mean, it's really wide, and like you just kind of use the box to get a drop on these enemies, which I mean is very nice, very cool. But yeah, there's 4 dog tags in this area. You gotta get them. Just keep that in mind. Yes, yes. Oh yeah, and there's still cameras, so you still have to shoot out cameras, so you still have to be wary of the dangerous cameras. So yeah, Otacon, the difference with his voice from like the clips which I reviewed, he seems to be doing a bit more of a nerdy voice in the Twin Snakes. And to be fair, the Twin Snakes, oh my goodness, I keep saying that Otacon's such a great character, but the Twin Snakes does him so dirty. Like the way he's presented, like the way he like moves in the scenes, is so it makes him so much more like weak and like bullyish. And it's just like, I mean, yeah, he was still kind of a nerd in the OG, but he was not like pathetic. I mean, some things he still did were kind of pathetic, but like they made him even more pathetic in this game. It's just kind of like, bro, like that whole dynamic that Snake and Otacon has just is not as strong in like the Twin Snakes because of all these weird ass changes they make. And like the voice acting might be part of it, but it's not a big difference. Like he's still kind of doing a similar voice, but it's just kind of a little bit more of a voice in like the Twin Snakes. But I have to review it more. And also they make him fall so many times in this game. Like, I mean, he would walk normally in like most of the cutscenes in the original game, but then in this game he goes ah, like every time he like falls over with something stupid, and it definitely ruins some of the more emotional moments in this game because they decided to add a funny ah! Like when he falls over because of his broken sprained ankle or whatever. So it's kind of like Now Naomi, probably one of the worst I don't know, redirections of voice acting. Like, I don't know, she kind of had this like accent in the original game, but now in this game they got rid of the accent, but in return, like her emotion is just stripped away completely. Like, I don't know, the way she would deliver like her lines so passionately in the original, and she, like her character is going through like a lot of things like emotionally, you know, like she's like betraying people, but she's also like dealing with a guilty conscience. She has this whole like traumatic past, and like her emotion in the original just has such a passion to it. But now it's just kind of like she kind of has this like deadpan voice now. It just does not fit those scenes. And to be fair, another thing which doesn't fit those scenes is the new music that accompanies like her most powerful moments. Like the new music kind of makes it a joke. Like there's one moment in particular, like I think her final conversation before she gets arrested, the new music they add is, what is that? It's kind of horrible, to be honest. Like it's just like, wow, how did they, why are we here? Like, and that's kind of like one big reason why I would recommend people to play the original first and not the Twin Snakes, even though there are things in the Twin Snakes which I enjoy more, and there's a lot of elements of the core gameplay which I think is more enjoyable in the Twin Snakes. Oh yeah, anyways, here, enter the room, then hide at this point, use the box, and the enemy's not going to investigate you. So now I find out that the box actually does have uses in the original game. Like, if an enemy sees you in a box, they're not going to go, huh, what's that over there? It's only if they bump into the box, or if you're like in the way of their path. But if you're kind of like near their line of sight but not in their path, then you can use the box to sneak past them, and that's very nice. So yeah, I figured out why the box was useful in the original game. But yeah, like I mean, like the original game's cutscenes, voice acting, music, presentation, that's what Metal Gear Solid is. But this game, it's like this weird remix, like kind of blending like the aesthetic of like early 2000 cringy movies, like freaking I don't know. Like, I mean, Blade is not cringe. I do quite like Blade, but kind of that style. The first Ghost Rider movie was like wacky ass editing. Like, just like there's like a term for like those kind of movies, or that kind of vibe in that like time period. But I just don't know the term. I'm not that well read into like that genre. But like this game's trying to adopt all that stuff, and it's just like it feels like a weird remix of that, and it's not really for the better most of the time. Though sometimes it could work pretty well. Like sometimes like the more fancy cutscenes makes certain like moments hit harder, but then other times it just makes them into complete jokes. And that's the thing, it's kind of more of a case by case basis, but it's one where most of the cases in Twin Snakes are for the worse, but not always. So anyways, here I forgot exactly why that guy woke up. I think it's because I punched him in the nuts, and now like when you punch a guy in the nuts, then he wakes up a lot faster, and now I have to deal with this whole caution state. But thankfully I actually slip by these guards pretty quickly, and when you use the elevator, the caution state actually just goes away, which was pretty cool. Oh, no, it's when I go through this room. Like, the caution state, for some reason, just disappears. And it's like, how is there going to be a caution state in the wolf room? It disappears right in the commander room. But also, how is the caution state going to disappear in the wolf room? Like, what, they're going to add more wolves? Like, I have the handkerchief. They're not going to do anything to me. They're going to add guards with the wolves. Like, bro, the wolves going to eat the guards. So, yeah, I guess that's like one reason why the caution state, like, left. I would have to experiment with this game and see, like, where caution states would appear or reappear. I don't know. But yeah, in summary, Naomi's voice acting is way worse in this game. The thing is, like, she keeps like that, like, she gets rid of the accent in Metal Gear Solid 4 too, but her performance in the fourth game is better. Like, it feels a lot more like driven than in this game. It's just like, why are we here? Now, Gray Fox. So, the new guy. Like, I mean, the reason they recast Gray Fox is because, like, his original voice actor was the same voice actor as the Darpa chief, and once you knew that, it was kind of hard to distinguish the two. So, you know, getting a new guy for Gray Fox, alright, I understand. And a new guy's voice isn't inherently bad, but he just doesn't, like, emote enough. Like, the one great thing about like the Darpa chief's voice actor is that he was so emotional, like, hurt me more. Like, it was so passionate. Well, here it's like, hurt me more. It's just like, it's like a different take on the character, but also it's a take which isn't emoting nearly enough as he should be, and it also kind of hurts him in like his final scenes. So yeah, because he just needs a little bit more emotion. He doesn't need to copy exactly what like the Darpa chief voice actor was doing, but like he should be like kind of emote harder on like his own unique take on the character. And I guess that's just another thing I could blame on like kind of the direction of the voice acting, the VO work. I have zero idea about most of these terms. Like I'm not the most well read when it comes to this kind of stuff, but I assume I know stuff. I guess that's just how life works. But yeah. When it comes to everyone else, I don't really know much about that. I'm not gonna jot everything down. I don't have time for that. Like, I don't know. This like releasing this commentary video has taken more than 10 hours or 12 or 14. I don't know. Like, at least I'm not releasing this at 5 a.m. like the no commentary version. Oh goodness, no. So yeah, that kind of covers my basis with like what I think about the voice acting in the Twin Snakes. Just that it's mostly just the direction issue, not really the actor issues. And like, I mean, it's cool that David Hayter used half his paycheck to bring back the original cast, but man, like if you're gonna direct them like this, major disappointment, man, major disappointment. And also the new cutscenes and music don't really help them at all either. Though sometimes they do, once again, case by case basis. It's not all bad. It's just that a majority of it is bad. Yeah. So, here we go. So the moment we have to insert the second disc is actually different in the Twin Snakes. And in the original game, you would do it once you reach the blast furnace. But now, in this game, you do it at this point. I don't know exactly why that is, but it is what it is. And now here we are. So here I'm literally going to my GameCube and switching the disc in. However, the attempt you're going to see of this area is a different segment. So, I don't know. I decided to keep this very tedious footage of me switching the disc because it's like, that's the vibe, man. So anyways, here's another topic. Pretty much the music in this game. So I don't know, the original game, it tended to repeat music a lot of times, but it was really awesome music. Like all the boss fights, they kind of have the same theme, and a lot of the emotional moments also bring back the best is yet to come multiple times. So it's like music tracks which are really good, but they keep getting repeated over and over and over. So Twin Snakes is kind of like, I want to add more variety to the soundtrack, so we're going to compose new boss tracks for every single boss fight, and we're also going to compose new tracks for the emotional moments, so it's not always the best is yet to come. But I'm going to stop talking about that, instead talk about this tower here. So I'm going to throw 2 stun grenades, it's going to stun the 2 guys over there, so I'll give me a little bit of safety when I'm climbing up here. However, spoiler alert, I'm going to take damage at this point because enemies have hit scan weapons, and that's just impossible to like not take any damage from it. Though to be fair, there was a strategy which I heard about, which maybe you could have avoided damage on, but I highly doubt it, because like if you have to shoot enemies, you're going to get hit because of the freaking hit scan. And as you can see, I'm actually going to equip a ration, because if you only use a single ration in this game, then that means you'll still get the big boss rank, but only if you use 1. If you use anything higher than 1, then you are going to lose the big boss rank. You won't only be using stun grenades though, you will have to pull out the M9 to pretty much shoot enemies while moving. Now in this particular action set piece, enemies will go down after you shoot them only once with the M9. Not even, it doesn't matter if you shoot them in the head or in the body, they will go down after 1 hit. So pretty much what you do is pretty much you just hold B and A at the same time, you kind of target the enemy and then you shoot them. And that's kind of how I've been taking out these guys as it goes along, but that is still not good enough for no damage, but it's good enough for surviving. Though I don't survive hard enough to not use a ration. Though it is possible to do this without a ration, but seeing as I only have 1 chance to use a ration, this is pretty much the best time for me. Because all the other times are going to be unnecessary, or I'm going to force myself to do no damage because it's possible. And I've seen video footage of it being done, so I know that it's not like a hopeless venture, though it will still be a soulless one at points. To be fair, I don't know, not too much in this game, but there is one section in particular that, like, oh my goodness, it was so infuriating. Also, I forgot to mention something in the sniper wolf fight. So I mean, it's already so far away, but I might as well mention it now that, oh yeah, before you go on, take 1 guy out and then keep running. So yeah, one thing I should mention is in sniper wolf fight, sometimes she'll lay down, and then when you shoot her, like she'll usually get up, but sometimes if you shoot her while she's laying down, she might just go back to firing again. So just be careful about that, because I was not careful about that, and then I got shot, even though I shot her while she was laying down. And then she got ready to shoot me again without getting up, and I was like, bro, come on, man, come on. And now this next section was horrible in the original game. It was something which, like, it gives me nightmares, man. But here, it is so pathetically easy. Like, just compare the 2 clips, like what I do in the original game and what I do in this game, and it's just like, it's night and day, man. Like, I mean, the only thing which, like, this version of the game adds to, like, this section is that grip level now matters. That thing from Metal Gear Solid 2 that, like, came up a few times for a few puzzle, like, dog tags. So now here it's kind of like puts a time limit on how much time you can spend roping down the building, but even then it does not really matter. So in the original game, I had to jump left from right, deal with weird physics, deal with the steam, deal with the machine gun fire. It was like horrible. While here, all you have to do is jump down. Like, at first do it a little slowly so you don't jump in front of the machine gun fire. That's pretty much about it. Beyond that, just keep jumping down and you won't take damage. Though watch out for that, but that's a very small thing to watch out for. Beyond that, you should be able to no damage this so easily. So now let me get back to talking about the music I was talking about before. So the new tracks for the new boss fights, I'm not really feeling them. Like, I don't know, they just kind of blend together with one another, but I don't know, I feel like I might be a little unfair and biased towards these new tracks. Like, they're not horrible, but like, I don't know, what the original game was doing by repeating the same tracks is like really novel, and it's just missing here in the Twin Snakes. It's not the same exact track. It's like, you know, I mean, the first boss fight will have like the battle track, but then like with each like successive boss fight, they'll keep adding new instruments to the fight to kind of just keep the escalation going up and up and up until the final battle, which has all the instruments coming together to create like the most epic version of the track. And to be fair, on PC, apparently that doesn't happen. So, I mean, my Metal Gear Solid 1 video might be a little invalid in proving that point. So, the strategy for these guys, like, I mean, you could use the sniper rifle, but I'm not going to. Instead, I'm just going to shoot this little pistol from way over here. And, like, once they catch sight of you doing that, I'm going to kind of step to the corner in case they come back to hit me. And yeah, I don't know, I mean, I'm using the thermal goggles because if I don't use the thermal goggles, I can't see these guys. So yeah, that element with the boss fights is kind of missing, though I can kind of understand why you would want different tracks for each boss fight. But then there's the emotional moments, and that I kind of can't excuse. Anyways, here, the videos I saw of this segment, they all take damage, but it's not that hard to avoid damage. Just equip the box here, stick to that wall, and then boom, you avoid the damage. Like, it's a little more to consider than this segment in the original game, because in the original game you just kind of run forward and not worry about it. But yeah, so anyways, here I'm gonna have to deal with cameras, and I'm gonna do it in a very tedious fashion. Though I have to run all the way down to open the path all the way up, you know, kind of the same thing as the original game. However, running downstairs in the original game is more fun. Here you kind of do these weird pauses when running downstairs, and I don't like that. However, one advantage this game has is that you can roll downstairs if you time it right. If you time it wrong, you'll splash on your face, but thankfully when you splash on your face, you take 0 damage. Very much appreciated. And, you know, doing a sick roll is pretty nice, though I do like running down the stairs like a little more smoothly, like I did in the OG game. But yeah, now the emotional moments, that's kind of something I can't excuse as hard, because, like, it's not just the cutscenes, though cutscenes are definitely involved. Like when Meryl's talking about like being a soldier and she's looking in the mirror and all that, that scene is so much more impactful in the original game. You know, when the best is yet to come, there's like this sacredness like to these moments, and then when you just kind of have sad piano or violins replace this insanely iconic track, it does not have the same vibe at all. Like, bro, are you serious? Like, why? And the thing is, the best is yet to come is still in the game. Like, it's used as a credits theme, it's used in the opening, so it's still here, but they just decided we're gonna redo all the emotional tracks. The song does get repeated a lot, but it always hits. Like when Snake is talking about how he killed Big Boss, his own dad, which by the way is a retcon because that didn't happen in the first 2 Metal Gear games. But you know, whatever. This is not even the worst retcon in this entire series. The series is way more infamous for other retcons, but still, yeah, it's so awesome and epic. And then, like, I want to go into more detail about it, but I don't know. I mean, I'd probably just save that for the videos. But just like, and also the way the music is edited, the way it builds up, like all that is just missing in the Twin Snakes recreations. And also Naomi's voice acting, because Naomi tends to be involved in these really epic moments of, like, you know, just amazing like reveals with the music and like her emotion communicating through while her deadpan like, I don't know, dialogue, her deadpan delivery here with the more low-key music, it just it ruins the magic, man. And that's why, I mean, once again, that's another reason why I don't want people to play the Twin Snakes as their first, like, exposure to Metal Gear Solid 1. Because there's just so many great things about Metal Gear Solid 1 which are not true of the Twin Snakes. Like, I mean, to get back to the voice acting, like, the voice acting in Twin Snakes is not horrible. Like, I mean, despite everything I'm saying, it's not horrible. It is better than most games still. Well, no, not in today's landscape. Today's landscape, we got, like, movie tier, like, we got voice acting is a pretty big prerogative in today's landscape. No, never mind. But, like, back then, 2004 still had some really good voice acting. I don't know what I'm talking about, but the voice acting is not bad per se, but like when people say that Metal Gear Solid 1 has like some of the best voice acting ever, like for its time and even still today, they're not talking about the Twin Snakes. At least I don't think they are, because the Twin Snakes, okay, so Super Bunny Hop, he made this video on Snake Eater, and he talked about something called kind of a cringe factor with the voice acting, that Snake Eater's voice acting kind of has this cringe factor you kind of have to like get through to like fully engross yourself in the game, and I feel like the Twin Snakes has that, but even worse. And that's the thing, is that the Metal Gear Solid 1 doesn't have it as bad as the Twin Snakes, like that cringe factor. Like, the first Metal Gear Solid still kind of has a cringe factor, maybe because it's kind of a recording of its time. You know, the audio quality is not as good. Some lines read a little weird, though, to be fair, the lines reading weird is more of a problem in Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, which are ironically my favorites in the series, but well, I'll talk about that more later. I mean, I made a video on Metal Gear Solid 2. You can watch that. Metal Gear Solid 3, not yet, though, but yeah, that cringe factor, like, it's a lot stronger in this game than it was in, like, the first Metal Gear Solid, and it's just kind of like, why? So it's just like, on the one hand, like, the voice acting isn't that bad. I mean, you could still enjoy the game. It's not like it's, like, horrendously bad, but we have comparisons to, like, the first Metal Gear Solid. It's weak there, and it also just has a lot of new things which, like, make it weak in general, but not, like, horrible. Like, these aren't exactly horrible performances, but they're just kind of, it feels a little bit like phoning it in a lot of the time, was just, that's not what Metal Gear 1 was about. That's not why it was praised so much in 1998, man. Like, come on. And to be fair, some people like kind of treat this game more as something to play after you play the first Metal Gear Solid 1. Like, I don't know, a funny thing people keep saying is that it's kind of like Otacon or Raiden's retelling of the original events of the story, which, I mean, is pretty funny. But then it's like, this game also treats itself as a replacement for the first Metal Gear Solid. I mean, the marketing certainly treats it as a replacement, but it really isn't. So that's just kind of what annoys me. Anyways, here, this fight is horrible. It's like, okay, the Hind fight in the first game was boring, but the Hind fight here is horrendous. Like, I mean, this first phase isn't too bad, but it's just like, okay, what's so horrendous in this fight is that it's like they took the original fight and then sped it up 5 times. It breaks certain sections to like infuriating, like frustrating paths. So anyways, for the strategy, just follow the exact path I'm taking. Just kind of, you know, shoot the Hind from that point, then they'll shoot it from the left, and then go to where I am, then kind of step out. It's hard to explain. You have to learn these stupid ass patterns. Then, you know, once you shoot 6 rockets into it, kind of take some cover in case he shoots back. But if he doesn't shoot back, immediately go out and shoot it, because it's going to shoot the big missile which blows up everything, and then you're going to get the chance to shoot 2 rockets a thing. Sometimes the camera will redirect you to where the helicopter isn't, so like reposition it, shoot the helicopter there, and then, you know, shoot one, and then you get another chance to shoot another, and then follow it to kind of shoot another one. But I kind of fail at this because it takes a really weird pattern, and now here we are. Now we're going to hide from it. And here's the thing, like, so like the helicopter, like the Hind D in like the first Metal Gear Solid, it could take a kind of weird pattern, real slow about it. Like these fucking curves it does, you know, from like one diagonal of the screen to the other diagonal of the screen. It would do that, but then like there would be like a 4 seconds before it would start firing again, or like 3. But here it starts firing immediately when it does that diagonal, which doesn't give you any chance to adjust yourself. So instead, you have to be on the fucking prowl here. So pretty much you have to wait for the helicopter to kind of come up, shoot it, wait a bit for it to shoot, and then be on the prowl to, like, you know, always shoot it. Because if you let it do its normal pattern without being shot, it's nearly impossible to deal with. Like this normal pattern, you want to avoid this, because when it starts like fucking curving around the map, like the bullets hit you so fast that it's just like you just always be prepared to like shoot it. Always be in a position where like you can shoot it when it's coming up, because if you have it in that pattern where you're constantly kicking its ass, then that's the only way to deal with it. And you also need to move away from it every time you shoot it, because even if you shoot it, and even if its shots are a little more inaccurate now that you shot it, it could still shoot you. So it's just Like, I mean, it's not as tedious as the first Hind D fight, but now it's insanely frustrating. It's such like a misguided way to, like, you know, add more excitement to the fight. It's like, now it's just insanely frustrating and like difficult to deal with. I utterly despise it. Also, the reason I'm using thermal goggles is because this Hind D camouflages so well into the background. Like the cameras camouflage themselves so well in the background. Sniper Wolf's like camouflage herself in shadow, and now we have the Hind D. I can barely make it out across this like dark ass environment. And maybe that's the 480p talking, but I think that's the game, like, art design coming. The subdued colors do this thing no favors. That's not how it was in the original game. You could clearly make out the Hind D in like the dark sky in the OG game, but now you can barely see it. So I'm freaking using the thermal goggles to see it. But the thing is, the thermal goggles kind of makes this game look ugly. I swear, it like lowers the resolution. I don't know, like some words like more unreadable with like the thermal goggles. It's just like I'm so glad that's over. I never want to repeat that ever again. Horrible, horrible fight. I mean, also, I forgot to mention that Sniper Wolf's death is so much more impactful in like the original game, not just because of the music, but the direction, the way everything's like is framed, like even the kind of the art design there, with like Snake like kind of walking away into darkness and all that. Just there's so much about the OG game, like presentation of that scene, which is ruined in Twin Snakes with like Otacon like freaking falling over for slapstick humor that just does not fit at all in that scene. Then you have like Sniper Wolf's like dialogue is a lot more emotionless now. It doesn't carry the same impact. Just, so much. Like, yeah, just another like reason why presentation is better in the original game. Yeah, I just recommend watching that one video I like mentioned like 30 minutes ago. I don't have the exact count, but yeah, just watch that video. You'll understand more what I'm referring to. Okay, so I wanted to get back to something about the dog tags. So, okay, it's not. This isn't just true of the dog tags, but the Twin Snakes isn't as challenging as Sons of Liberty. Like, I don't know. One of those reasons that there aren't any guards which will refuse to hand over their dog tags, like in Sons of Liberty. Like, I mean, there's like certain guards in Sons of Liberty where if you point a gun at them and hold it to their face, they'll go, "Who are you?" And they won't hand over their dog tag unless you pull out like an actual gun and shoot their arm or like kind of shoot near them. Then they'll go, "Ah." However, if you don't have a silencer, shooting that gun's gonna alert the other enemies in the area. So then it's like, ooh, there's like this big challenge. Like, do you have to take out the other enemies near that one enemy who won't agree to give you your dog tag to get that dog tag? Or do you get the silencer? Once you get the silencer, it kind of like fixes itself. But like, imagine if they put one of those like type of enemies in like the snowfield level. Like, that would make it so much more complicated. But there isn't a single type of like that enemy in this entire game. Anyways, here is another set piece, which I did no damage in the original game, but here, because I'm doing it non-lethal and because all the enemies have hit scan, I can't no damage it, and I have not seen a single video which has done this non-lethally who has no damages. So here I'm just going to stand still and pretty much point at their heads and shoot them. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, what was I talking about before? Yeah. So yeah, back to the dog tag. So yeah, it's kind of weird that it didn't include any of those other enemies. I mean, since you're lifting so many different design decisions from like the Sons of Liberty, I thought that would come over, but no. And also there's no cheeky guard hiding behind like a grip level like requirement, but I'm kind of happy that's not in this game because I did not want to tediously like upgrade my grip level to level 3 again just to get one dog tag. Kojima, you ridiculous man. But also, I mean, besides the dog tags, the design of Sons of Liberty is like more challenging. It's a lot tighter. You don't have that much open space to work with. While here, like the open space of the original game doesn't exactly fit like the Sons of Liberty style of gameplay. So it can kind of be easy to just kind of either sneak by enemies a lot of the time or to just hold them up. Like the snowfield, for example. Like that's so open and wide, and also that there's not that many enemies in one area in general, while like Sons of Liberty have like 6 or 7 in one area. Like this game at max has like 4 or 5, but most of the time it's like 2, so it's just kind of like what. So yeah, here you have to use the chaff grenades to kind of get past these cameras, and sometimes they'll catch me, but then the chaff grenade explodes and all that. So weird difference about this fight is that when you enter the snowfield in the original game, you're actually in the snowfield. Like a cutscene doesn't play, while here a cutscene plays and it pretty much immediately launches you into the boss fight. So in the original game, you would like go to the right, kind of move up, and then like you'll immediately get shot, like kind of in a game mixed cutscene thing, and it kind of caught you off guard. While here the fight just starts. So I guess that's because they included that one like game moment into a cutscene, just kind of removing interactivity again. So but whatever. One thing I do like is I think this fight's better in this game because you have more space to work with. I mean, to be fair, I don't know if you can actually move to the left in the original game. You probably could, but I just never did it because being on the right worked fine for my cheap-ass strategy in the original game. But now I'm doing this non-lethally, so I have to kind of play this a little more legit, an actual sniper battle. So for those disappointed by my my Metal Gear Solid 1 like no damage, here you have a more legit no damage. And it's not too hard. She actually rarely attacks. Pretty much the way you figure out where she is, use the stinger to figure out where she is, and then switch to a non-lethal sniper rifle, and then just shoot her all the time. And also shoot her while she's moving from place to place. That's a lot of good times to get good headshots and all that. Oh, sometimes she'll move through that snowfield, but sometimes she'll hide behind this tree. And it's kind of hard to tell, but you can kind of tell when she's going to do that. So, yeah. So you start off on the left, while in the original fight, you start off on the right. Though in this fight, you could still move all the way to the right, like pretty easily. So, I mean, I don't know, in the original game, I don't remember that being that viable. While here, it kind of is. So, that's cool. Cool. So, yeah, she'll sometimes hide behind trees. Sometimes she'll stay in one spot, and you just kind of keep an eye on her and also on your ammo count. Let's look at that. I gotta get me some ammo. Ooh. And then once I get some ammo, why? Yeah, look at me just running all the way to the other side of the map. I don't know why I'm doing that though, but it seems to be working out pretty well. I guess I was trying to scour even more ammo than what was at this tree, but it seems I'm not gonna get any. I'm not so lucky. like I can kind of vibe with some of the new boss themes. Like honestly, they really aren't that bad. But it's just like I guess so the iconicness of like the OG tracks is kind of pushing me away from them, and also just like that reincorporation of I don't know that buildup of there's a better term for this buildup of motifs throughout each new version of the like the original boss track. Like it just fits a little better than what they got going here, but some of these new tracks kind of go off. I mean, Sniper Wolf's track fits her pretty well. Psycho Mantis kind of has a spooky track, though it kind of sounds pretty similar to other things. I don't know. Like I mean, there's a term for this kind of composition, but I just don't know how to describe it. I don't know. Is it going for a cinematic thing? Cinematic for the time? I don't know, man. I don't even know the name of the composer for this game. I gotta look that up. So yeah, once I defeat Sniper Wolf, I'm just going to spend a little too much time exploring the entire area very carefully to get more items for the next challenge. Just like my OG Metal Gear Solid video, and just like my OG Metal Gear Solid video, I don't have much to say. So I guess I just won't. I don't know, a quick Google search isn't giving me anything concrete on different composers for Metal Gear Solid, like the Twin Snakes. It's just the same guy from like the other games, but I don't know, Harry Gregson Williams was like involved in Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3's like soundtracks, also 4, but I don't know. When it comes to like the soundtracks to these games, I feel like Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 probably have the most memorable ones. Like I don't know, 3 especially, like 3's soundtrack is just something else. Though the other games do have some pretty great tracks. Though I don't know, when it comes to music, my mind does not go to Metal Gear Solid 5, but I guess I'll get to that when I get to that. That is not a conversation for this game right now in 2004. Talking about a game in like 2013, 14. When did that game come out? I'm not gonna say. I don't know if it's apparent yet, but I've run out of things to say on the outline. But I don't know, it was a pretty big outline, but still, I ran out. Like, there's a few more specific things I'm going to mention later on during specific moments of the game, but right now I don't have much to say, except for the GameCube's progressive scan. So I mentioned that I recorded this video at 480i, I don't know, 480 interlaced, and I would have liked to record it at 480p, because apparently, like, this game in particular, you can do something called progressive scan, where you hold the B button while the GameCube is like starting up and loading the game, and I don't know if you do it correctly by holding the B button, and if your TV's compatible, then you'll get an option to pretty much turn on progressive scan, which pretty much turns the footage from 480i to 480p. But when I tried it, it never worked. The option never presented itself, so I guess my TV just wasn't compatible, or I guess the way I was recording it with Elgato, it didn't let me do it. So then I kind of did it normally with like the normal cables without recording it on Elgato, and it still didn't work, so I guess my TV just wasn't compatible. So yeah, shame. So now we're stuck with the 480i footage. Yeah, so now here's the next area, and we're going to be using the box quite a bit in this area. So yeah, I just kind of equipped the box to kind of get this guy. And so this area has an effect which kind of makes it a lot harder, the heat effect. It's kind of disorientating, but it's a neat little effect, and it's better than the effect they use for the ice room at the very least. I mean, at least this room is so hot that it's heated, like whoa. So there's that there. So in rooms like these, if you're positioned wrong, you can actually drop your box in the lava, and I'm pretty sure I do end up doing that, which it's a good thing I have 3 boxes, so I can get rid of 1 or 2. So here I'm gonna walk slowly, because if I walk fast, I might actually attract the attention of some of the guards over there. And now we're gonna do this puzzle. So in the original game, you couldn't move while crouched, so you actually had to just stay crouched while that thing was moving. However, here I can crouch and move at the exact same time, which kind of is a neat way. It's something from Metal Gear Solid 2, and we're bringing it back for this original puzzle. So there's 4 guys in this room, and we need to get those dog tags. So yeah, once you kind of get to the part where you stand it, you automatically stand even if you're crouching, because your legs are not going to go through there. So here I'm going to walk slowly. I'm going to try to attract the attention of one of these guys. So I don't know, making loud noises here will attract the second guy here, and once I attract that guy, I'm gonna once again use the box technique to get the dog tag. So yeah, this room's gonna be a little dragged out just because I'm always gonna be using the box to kind of distract them. And I don't know, for some reason this guy's pattern is weird. Once you bring him up here, he'll adopt his normal pattern, which involves being on top here. So that's just kind of weird, but at the very least we got him, and I'm pretty sure this is the part where I sacrifice box 3. Though I gotta admit, the box designs in this game are not as cool as the box designs in Metal Gear Solid 2, but to be fair, I'm not sure if that's really fair. We got a cool Zone of the Enders box in Metal Gear Solid 2, but like kind of this black like box, white letters, text, and stylish, very nice. So now I'm going to unsuccessfully use the books to kind of bring this guy up, bring one of these guys up here. And there's something very weird happens where like he looks at the books, but then he also looks at the guard there, and then it made me realize that I probably could have just used the guard's body to bring these guys up here, but I didn't think about that. So yeah. Now the YouTube guides I followed for these dog tags to get in this room, they all did something very different from what I did here, but I don't know, what they did was kind of complicated and I didn't want to mess with it, so I instead am doing this with the box. Let's go. I'm definitely not doing no speed run. So yeah, I got this guy's attention, but for some reason he's not gonna walk all the way over here. He's just gonna look at that and then walk away, which made me kind of mad. So use these metal grates to kind of make some noise, get him near me, and then once that happens, he's gonna look at the books. But then, like, he's gonna do like a quick turnaround and see the body, and then he's gonna come across my box. It's a very weird, like, clash of like AI systems all happening at the same time, and it's kind of just poor planning on my part. But at the very least, I got this guy. I got his dog tag. 3rd dog tag in this room. Let's go.
Freeze! Don't kill me.
And now with the last guy, I just can kind of go downstairs, use the box again, and then that pretty much just ends my sorrows.
What was that just now? Huh?
That is a rather long animation, though it's not that long. It's kind of like in the middle ground of long and short, which, to be fair, I guess is kind of like a little crutch thing you can do, and also kind of more of an Easter egg. And now I'm going to try to get out of this area before I don't know, stuff happened. So apparently you can get the body armor before this area. I could have sworn you got it in this area, but I've seen people do like that big Tower of Terror section with body armor on, and I have zero idea where they got their body armor from. But to be fair, since I'm doing no damage, I don't really need the body armor, though I guess for some other sections it would have been useful, like the Tower of Terror. I probably could have done it without a ration, but you know, might as well use one ration. I mean, I'm not going to do it in any other video. I say with a I'm lying. I'm pretty sure I'm going to use a ration in like some other Metal Gear Solid video. Probably Peace Walker, because apparently you can't no damage the boss fights in that game, because I haven't seen a single video of anyone no damaging the robots in that game, and I don't know why. Someone's got to do it, even if you use like stupidly overpowered gear. No damage it. I want to see that, so then I know it's possible, so I'm not like wasting my time trying to do it. So anyways, here, once again, just like the elevator fight, this is impossible to no damage because of hit scan and non-lethal, and the mixture of that is just, it's not possible, man. At least I don't think it's possible, and if it is possible, there's no video proof of it being done, so it's not possible, okay? So here I'm just going to aim at their heads and take them all out, and that pretty much ends this fight. But thankfully, Elgato's more reliable than OBS because it actually recorded the sound this time, so I don't need to put no music here to replace the sound, unlike my original fight. However, my original fight in like the OG Metal Gear Solid video, I actually no damaged that, and it's a little more of an impressive feat. It is a more impressive feat, but it was immensely like suffering. Oh yeah, a little fun fact. So I mentioned that when you save during a boss fight, it'll load up during that boss fight. But for this section in particular, if you reload your save, which you did during this fight, it'll just load you into the previous area. So the way which this game handles it and the way the OG game handles it is exactly the same. So yeah. And now we're just going to approach Vulcan Raven by taking another platform ride, but this time with a lot of ravens. Though this time I do not kill them. I don't know, one thing I did, well, I'm going to get more items, I guess. So, I don't know, one thing I really need for this, like, Vulcan Raven fight is a lot of non-lethal sniper rifle rounds. I don't have enough to kind of do my strat perfectly, but I did have enough to pretty much succeed. I mean, this video came out, so I definitely succeeded. And to be fair, it's not my strat, it's Jaguar King's strat. And you're going to see what I mean when we get to the Vulcan Raven fight. But yeah, here we're just going to ride this elevator, and I'm not going to kill a single Raven. Though I'm pretty sure if you kill any of these Ravens, it's not going to count as a kill. Because later on, I kill a rat, but it doesn't count as a kill. And I needed to kill that rat to get a special item without taking damage. So yeah. I guess this is just another example of the art design not being as strong. Because I remember, like, in the original game, these elevator rides, they were a lot darker, more ominous. Like, the blues had a higher contrast to them. Like, there was this green glow from the control panel. And, I don't know, maybe I could get some of that stuff back if I downloaded some HD textures that I was emulating, and also downloaded the ray tracing mod. I don't know. I saw this one guy on Reddit. He had, like, oh, I'm playing the Twin Snakes, you know, like ray trace 4K HD, and I'm so surprised by the art direction in these games. Always floored by then. And his screenshot looked like ass. And it was here, run all the way to like this part of the room, lay down here, equip the sniper rifle, and then prepare to aim at this dude's head. So yeah, pretty much boom, headshot, shoot once to kind of distract him, headshot, shoot once to kind of stop him in place, headshot, then shoot once to kind of stop him in place, headshot, and then shoot once so that he doesn't go away, headshot. Now he's gonna stay still for quite a long time, but still fire shots in kind of like the pattern I'm doing it, and also have more ammo so you can actually take him out at this exact moment. Now he has a kind of a little slither of health, but now I'm gonna use these stun grenades to kind of pretty much end him. I'm gonna throw two of them because the first one that goes off doesn't damage him, but the second one does, and that pretty much ends that. And now when you take this guy out non-lethally, oh yeah, I forgot to mention Sniper Wolf. When you take her out non-lethally, she has a dog tag. Carry her body and get it. I mean, like, visually you could have seen that, but you know, I never mentioned it, so I'm mentioning it now. And for Vulcan Raven, pretty much go to the bottom of the stage where his corpse is, and his dog tag will be there to get the dog tag. So yeah, I was talking about something. Oh yeah, the Nintendo hire this man ass looking freaking Reddit screenshot thing. Like, the floor like looked shiny and all that. It had reflections. It had those PS1 reflections, but then the lights looked horrible. It was blinding. Like, it was just like trying to be so flashy and like bloom centric. Like, what is that? Anyways, oh yeah, so I remember that effect I was talking about in the fire room. Yeah, here it is. It's just this like overlay of like frost. I don't like it. It looks bad. Though on a one overlay I would have liked this game to have is kind of the darkness that appears in the caves, and also while you're climbing the stairs in the communication tower. It's just gone in this game, and it makes those areas less memorable. So it's kind of like, bro, come on, man. But this overlay, it can go. It's not good. It's not good. Alright, so here's a positive with the Twin Snakes. They actually add enemies in this area. So this area just used to be something which you would throw a chafe grenade and run through, but now you have two enemies which you need to get their dog tags. So pretty much the way I'm going to handle this guy is pretty much kind of bring him over here. I'm going to use the book so that he looks at it. This is not my strategy. This is a strategy I got from man, let me get my boy's name. The guy who made like the dog tags guide. So yeah, pretty much I'm going to bring this guy over here with the book. I'm going to pull him up here. Now there's only one more guy in this room which I can get his dog tag. Also, it should be noted that your tranquilizer ammo is going to be very scarce now, as in I'm pretty sure from this point on you're not going to get it refilled. So yeah, I equipped the box because I have that guy's just looking on from up ahead, and then once he goes down here, or don't equip the box. Why am I using the book? I don't think the book even is going to work. Oh wait, no, yeah it does. Nice. Though to be fair, I probably should have saved my books. Like, I used 2 books at a part of the game which was completely pointless, and it honestly would have been more useful in some of these later sections. Some of these later sections can get kind of brutal because I run out of tranquilizer ammo, and then I can't tranquilize enemies, so all I can do is hit them in the nuts. But when I hit them in the nuts, they get up super fast and then cause a caution state, and then caution state brings out a lot more enemies to the yard, and just oof. Some of these later sections like get back to some of that stealth which was present in like the second area of the game, but it never gets that complicated as that second area, but it kind of gets back to that, which like the first game never did. So that's a big plus with the Twin Snakes. So yeah, I'm gonna shoot the cameras out so they don't see me. I'm gonna flop there, very nice. And I am going to, oh yeah, here we go. So the person I'm referring to is Ramsay Sausage, who his strategy was to use the book, and that was very useful. So yeah, in the original game, this section of the game was kind of devoid of gameplay. Like, it was just backtracking, and sometimes they would add new enemies, but they didn't really change up the dynamic all that much. Like, this area in particular was really boring. 0 enemies except for like 1 all the way at the top, and you couldn't really get to him in any fun ways, and it wasn't really challenging to get that guy. However, here they've changed the dynamic completely because now there's 4 enemies. Like, pretty much there's like 3 of them up here, and then like the 4th one is like the original one, which was like in the original game. Also, they changed out the layout of this place that it's all loaded in as one area, while in the original game it was loaded in like 3 or 4 separate chunks. So like, I don't know what that means is that like you're not really exploring one seamless area. So if you get caught all the way down here, you just go up and go to the next area and it wouldn't matter anymore. While here, it all matters. So you get caught all the way up there, it matters all the way down here. So it's just like that kind of cool design. So now here I'm trying to draw out like the guy I drew out the guy on the right. I got his dog tag, and now I'm trying to draw out the guy on the left who's gonna come down here. And now we're just gonna wait for him. So yeah, like this room has already gotten way more interesting. However, I guess one change which I'm not that big of a fan of, and I put the box in the wrong place, so now I have to kind of walk all the way to where this guy is and kind of get in his way there. Which, I mean, originally I could have just waited there and he would have showed up, but I mean, I thought I'd get him earlier, but I did not get him earlier. So yeah, here he's gonna thankfully run into right in my path, and now we're gonna go through another box animation. You know, whatever. It's such a useful skill, and I'm glad that the box became useful, like, you know, this useful for like disturbing enemy patterns. It's kind of my get out of jail free card.
Freeze. Help.
I don't know, the discussion on which game is better between like the original and this one is interesting because I think the original is unarguably better, but like the Twin Snakes does so much, which makes it like a more interesting game overall, like on a gameplay wise. Though it's still broken, and honestly, the things which make it interesting are stuff which the game doesn't incentivize you to do, so it's kind of a pointless endeavor in like, you know, in like making the game more interesting. But beyond that, yeah, I was talking about something, but yeah, I mean, it's just that the reason why this remake, even though it may have better gameplay at points, is like worse than the originals, because the original's gameplay wasn't even that strong to begin with. But like what carried it was like that atmosphere, the cinematic presentation. Like I mean, everything around that, the way the story keeps building with its music. I mean, it's so integral to the original experience. So for it to be kind of dampened with like the choices made in this remake, like it's gonna come off like less exciting, you know, less impactful, less iconic, less a classic. Even with all these like cool additions with the dog tags and the Metal Gear Solid 2's type stealth, like I mean, it's certainly worth still playing. And honestly, I rate the games the same. Like I mean, I don't know, I rate the original like a 7, closer to an 8 maybe. While this one, I'm sticking more with like a 7. So I mean, they're not that different in quality, but like the original is just the experience, man. But I will say, Twin Snakes makes a very strong argument for itself with the way it restructures these final areas, though. It still suffers from like the original's problem where the second area is still the most complicated stealth challenge in the whole game. So yeah, the first two guys I kind of like bring down to the yard by, you know, knocking and waiting for them, while the third guy, he's hanging out upstairs. So I climb upstairs and then kind of get into his vision. And then for this fourth guy, I'm doing this, and that's how I get all their dog tags. However, once I have all their dog tags, they don't disappear, because I'm still going to be navigating this area, and they're going to wake up at one point. And once they wake up and I don't have any ammo, then things get more exciting, more tense, and I also waste a lot more time.
No.
So pretty much the strategy here, we're at the PAL section, and in the original game you had to do an insane amount of backtracking. However, here you don't actually have to do any backtracking. You could do this entire puzzle just in this one room. However, I will do some backtracking because 4 new enemies with new dog tags spawn once you have to get the blue key card. So you pretty much go to that freezing area, get the dog tags from those enemies, and then you got all the dog tags in the game until the final boss. But for the red card, I'm not going to do any backtracking. However, if you're going to do a true no damage run, you're going to have to do the backtracking because I'll talk about it when we get there, but oh dear. But yeah, also the way they designed this area is really cool because now we have this. We can just get all the way to the bottom just by hanging on this wire. Pretty cool implementation of Metal Gear Solid 2 design. So I don't know, I keep mentioning that like the mechanics of like Metal Gear. Oh yeah, so here we have to shoot this rat, and he can kind of duck away into like a corner somewhere. So before he does that and leaves the area, shoot him, kill him. It's not gonna count as a kill, and then now we have our PAL key. Now I'm gonna shoot another tranquilizer dart into like this one sleeping guard near me because I want him to stay asleep. But this area is going to get complicated no matter what. And honestly, I should have conserved my bullets more because I'm not getting any new bullets unless I do a ton of backtracking, which isn't going to happen. Oh yeah, here, so get up before the water damages you. You pretty much have like a split second to do it. If you waste any more time, you will literally start taking damage from the toxic water. And now here we have an enemy there. So pretty much now that I got my PAL key back, I have to go all the way to the top. And now we have these enemies that are awake here. And it's like, Now I have to start learning patterns on like when to get past these guys without knocking them out, because knocking them out just kind of complicates things. So if I can figure out a way to take them out without knocking them out, then that's pretty useful. However, here for some reason I'm trying to take this guy out, and you know, I mean, right then and there I didn't exactly know the pattern to do to take these guys out. So you know, I mean, I might as well do this now.
Freeze. Don't kill me.
Now here I don't have to wait for that guy to drop his dog tag, I just take him out immediately. So now here it's just, I don't really have that much more to say. I've kind of exhausted all the topics I would want to talk about. Oh, this guy got up, I just wasted a tranquilizer dart, but now I'm going to hold him up so I can take him out again. And I will be using the tranquilizer dart to take him out because it makes him fall asleep for longer. Kick him in the nuts and he's gonna wake up later though too. And also another thing, it's weird. If you take a guy out with a tranquilizer dart, when he wakes up he's not gonna cause an alert. At least I don't think he does. However, if you hit him in the nuts, he will cause an alert when he wakes up. I don't know, I'd have to test it more, but with my experience, that's what's happened so far in this exact area, because this exact area has weird properties. Now, I said in my original, like in my OG Metal Gear Solid video, that this area and like the area before it are 2 separate areas, and maybe in the Twin Snakes that wouldn't be the case. However, it is the case. I mean, to be fair, the Twin Snakes also made a lot of changes, like making the entire previous area completely seamless, but this area and the previous area are still disconnected. So, you know, that's just some things change and some things stay the same. However, something which has changed is that in order to use like your PAL card, you actually have to press the use key. In the original game, you just ran up to the computer and it just happened. However, here you have to press the use key, which is the Y button on your GameCube controller here. Let me press it on mine. That's vintage, though. I gotta say, the GameCube controller really is not that good for much of anything except for Smash. Like, I don't know, apply it to any more modern games, like a freaking first-person shooter. Like, well, what's the point of the GameCube controller, man? Get it out of my face. Get out of my face. I know for the very specific Nintendo games, it's awesome, but like for most modern games, it's just not viable at all. And it's only really gotten relevancy just because Smash. So anyways, here we have to get the blue PAL cards. I'm gonna drop on down from the wire there, and we're gonna go get it. And man, I've just ran out of topics to say. It's just like, I don't know, my Metal Gear Solid 1 video is like 2 hours, 12 minutes. That was tiring. This is 2 hours, 34 minutes, man. Goodness. And now this is where these enemies are going to get complicated because I have 4 bullets in my tranquilizer left, and I'm not going to get any extra ammo. So now here I'm kind of going to screw myself over with like retreading this area, because when I'm retreading this area, I'm going to take this guy out with the nuts. However, there's 2 guards in this area, and I'm stuttering over my words. When I come back through this area, I'm gonna have to take out the guy in the front. However, I'm gonna have to do it quickly so that when this guy wakes up, he doesn't. I get out of this room before he does that. So yeah, here, trying to get up close to him. Like, I mean, I find a way to get past him, but it was challenging. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just it would be better if you don't take out any of the enemies, frankly, and if you find a way to slip past them all unnoticed. But here I'm going to take them both out just to kind of clear my bases here. It's really weird properties for when enemies stay like knocked out or not, because the game kind of keeps track of it even if you switch between areas. I guess that's one difference between the OG and this game. Like, I don't know. For example, take for example B2 of like the first big area of the game, like, I don't know, the armory. Like, I don't know, I like knocked out everyone in that area, and then when I revisited that area, like, everyone was still knocked out. So anyways, here we're gonna run all the way to the left. We're gonna take this guy out. It's gonna be very quick, very sufficient. Yeah, we're gonna wait for him to face this way because it usually works better for me. We're gonna get this guy's dog tag. These are the last 4 dog tags in the game. And now there's gonna be someone who looks at us, so we're gonna do a little loop-de-loop, get that guy. Very boom. And here's our second guy. Boom. So, I mean, if you don't have the radar, I think you can still copy these strats. So, yeah. Get this guy. Boom. Second dog tag. Second last dog tag of the game. Well, I mean, to be fair, it's more like the third last dog tag of the game, whatever. And now our third guy here. And I'm going to equip this PAL key here just to make sure I know when it freezes. And we're going to wait for him to go over there, and then we're going to get him. And there's going to be another enemy approaching soon, and we're going to get the drop on him as well. And now clear out this entire room, and then once we do that, I'm just going to wait in the ambience of this cold locker to pretty much wait for this card to turn. Oh, but this guy's going to do some weird moves, so I'm going to kind of hide behind this box here. But it doesn't really matter because it's going to turn back here. And their pattern's pretty weird in general, but once they're here, they're completely safe to just get. And there we go, and that ends this room. And I'm going to go lay down somewhere and wait for this card to turn. And now I don't have any more tranquilizer ammo, so now I am out of luck when it comes to easily dispatching enemies non-lethally. And also I have to hurry up because the big boss run has to be under 3 hours, so I'm going to be skipping the backtracking to the red area because I feel I might actually go over the time limit if I do that, so I'm just not going to do that. But I still spend a ton of time getting the red card for other reasons, so honestly it probably wouldn't even have mattered that much. And also I just don't want to backtrack all the way there. It's tedious, so I'm just not going to, because the Twin Snakes added a way to not do that. I was actually going to stay silent while waiting for the card to turn, but it just turned. One weird thing I noticed in Twin Snakes, I haven't tested it out, but I'm pretty sure most boss fight. Okay, so anyways, here we're gonna run all the way here. We're gonna equip the box to get past this one enemy very quickly. Boom, hold him up, hit him in the nuts. Like, we're not gonna come back to this area, so once we knock this guy out, it's not gonna matter. And now we're gonna run all the way back here because the other guy's gonna wake up very soon and he's gonna alert the cards. However, once we get out of there, it's not gonna matter. So if you spend more time in the area, like for example, if you do the box trick and wait like that amount of time, the other guys are going to wake up and alert the guards, so I'm just not going to deal with that. However, in this area, there are a few enemies which I believe are sleeping, and they are going to alert the guards, or are they? So when it's here, like, I don't know, once this guy's kind of out there, like on the guy on the left and the radar, once he's died that area, just kind of run here, and you should be able to get past him without knocking him out. So yeah, I mean, some people are going to notice me, but I just keep walking all the way to the left here and it should be good. However, watch out here. You're going to have to walk slowly because there's someone below you who can hear you if you like walk really fast. And then there's like the guard who is actually patrolling on this level who can see you. And we can avoid both of them. I mean, the first one just by walking slowly to not alert him to our position, because once we alert him to our position, he's going to come to our position and that's going to compromise us. And also, even walking fast can alert the guy on this level. I mean, that's one thing which was, I mean, I mentioned it before, it's more visible in the Twin Snakes. Even if it was a part of the original game, it feels like more integral to this game a lot of the time. And especially in this area, now that like there's more than one enemy. And also, you can't do the funny trick that you could do in the first game, and the OG game, where you could just equip and unequip an item to stay completely silent on surfaces. That does not work anymore, sadly. So rip to that. So yeah, you still have to press the use key to use the blue key there. Oh, and also spamming the A button. I mean, you didn't get to hear it because I did it. I spammed it a bit harder than that, but you know, just some ASMR up in here to kind of drag out my commentary here. So now here I'm going to equip the box again, but still complications. I actually don't really know the strategy here. I guess I'm just going to take it slow and just... Oh, I think I know what happens. So I hide here, but the enemy actually takes the path to here, so I have to knock this guy out. And when I knock that guy out, it alerts another enemy to this location. I think a lot of chaos happens here, and I'm not exactly sure how much chaos happens here, but now we're on the hunt for the red POW key. And to get to the red POW key, we have to go to pretty much, we're on the west side of the map. We have to go all the way to the east side of the map, and we have to deal with all the enemy encounters that come with that. So here I'm gonna bump to the enemy, and that's gonna alert this other enemy, and now it's just a whole big complication. I'm gonna punch this guy in the nuts, of course, and I actually forget if I deal with this guy or not. But I mean, I don't know, or maybe I just wait for him to pass me by and then I run past him. I don't know. Let's see what happens here. Or maybe I hold them up. I mean, I've got to hold them up, because if I don't hold them up, it's going to be another complication. But, I mean, by this point, the other guy's probably already going to wake up, so it's kind of a futile effort. I'm just trying to survive up here. And now there's another guard kind of on my sight line. I don't know how. I guess there's another guard. But yeah, that guy. What's that guy doing there? What? What's going on? Like, this game's complicated. Like, this area got a lot more interesting with these just subtle, these few changes that Twin Snakes made to the design. And it makes the climax a lot better. Because I don't know, it's kind of like you get one last stealth challenge to kind of experience before the big action set piece stuff happens for the climax and the final boss fights. I don't know, Metal Gear Solid can kind of have these moments where it's like, okay, here's your stealth gameplay, and now we're just going to go full on action. And now this is a more natural transition than like the first Metal Gear Solid game, which is more of a tedious slog of backtracking and barely any engaging stealth while story events play out. Though those story events were very interesting, but still, it was not that fun. Now I guess I'm going to have to get this guy because he's right in my path.
Huh?
Thankfully, waiting for this guy to go through his box animation is making the caution alert wait. The caution didn't go away, and thankfully the people who are in their caution state aren't looking at me, so I can just take this guy out. And oh yeah, when you do the box trick, you need to have your M9 equipped before you enter the box, because if you don't have it equipped, then you can't use it when you like do the box trick. So instead, I just grabbed him and then I equipped the M9. So you're not useless if you don't have the M9, but you should have the M9 equipped while you're in the box, so that you can just hold them up immediately. So now we're in this area, and now in this area there's this new area which this game added, which has this red and blue pipes. However, there's an enemy who saw me, so I'm gonna equip the box to kind of hide from him, because I'm really unsure how this works. And also, while I'm hiding in this place, there's gonna be another caution state which happens, and there's gonna be enemies looking all over the place. And also, I'm gonna be too close to that. Yeah, look at that enemy in the area. What? Like, it's just everything's super spooky. Like, oh my god. And I'm going to hide here because there's going to be new guards coming by. And not much of note happens here. You just see some guards kind of go by, and that's pretty much about it. And yeah, just there's not much of note happening here, so I'm just not going to say anything. I don't know, I guess one thing which I kind of missed from the Metal Gear Solid 1 is that there were ladders to climb the Metal Gear, and that was like super cool. You're like climbing the beast, while here they're gone to accommodate for a more seamless flow throughout the level, and I appreciate that. But the ladders are cool. I kind of want to climb in the Metal Gear, but the more seamless flow adds to better gameplay. But, you know, maybe more seamless flow, which allows you to climb on the Metal Gear, could have been nice. You know, could have been nice. Could have been nice.
Return to your positions. Stay sharp.
So now here I'm going to get a little more distance, and oh no. Or not, I'm just going to wait. So then that guard's always going to be a problem, and I have trouble like predicting him. And like, you know, I mean, if you knock out all the enemies in the room, then, you know, this wouldn't be an issue. But now that I literally can't knock out any of the other enemies in the room, now I have to watch for patrols, you know, be careful, and like, oh, all this other, like, you know, stealthy stuff. It's pretty engaging, though it does waste quite a bit of time. So here, shoot the red pipe. Oh, I took damage. No, my no damage run is ruined. I was doing it so perfectly before then. But thing is, the reason I did this is because, I mean, I mentioned before, if I actually go all the way and like backtrack normally, I may run out of time and like go over 3 hours. I'm just worried about that. I mean, I probably wouldn't, but I'm just not gonna risk it. And also, I can barely talk for the time limit this video's at. Talking for 3 hours about this game, I mean, like I could, but I'm tired. I don't want to go on, man. So this is a necessary evil to take damage at this exact point. I mean, it's a shame that like this method requires you to take damage, but you know, oh well. It's not like this game's even designed for no damage like most of the time, especially for its more egregious set pieces. And also, once again, I haven't seen any video footage of like the parts which I took damage in. I have not seen anyone like not take damage in. So like if someone wants to say prove me wrong, then send me that video, but I have not seen it. I do actually want to see a video of people no damaging that, because it would be really interesting to see, but I have not seen it. Send me the video. Send it. So yeah, here I'm kind of waiting for like the one guard to kind of go more to the left in his pattern, but there's two guards there, and they're, I don't know exactly, yeah, like to kind of go there, because once he goes there, he's gonna start going down. And once he goes down, that gives me enough distance to run away. And even if he gets cautious of the noise, I'll be far away from them. I'll be far enough away from them that it won't even matter. There we go. And I don't even know what the advantage of wearing this box does, but I'm gonna wear it because it looks funny when I'm running around with the box. Like, there are advantages to running around with the box. I mean, you know, one of those advantages was that one time when I ran past a helicopter and it didn't damage me. Now, here's the moment with Naomi, which is really powerful in the original game, but in this game, they added new music that sounds kind of dumb, and also her voice acting is not as emotional. I've gone through this, like, what, an hour ago? I barely remember at this point. So, yeah, this moment is way more impactful in the original game. In this game, it just does not hit as hard at all. So, yeah. And now I'm going to take it slow so that the guards don't get suspicious, or not. So yeah, here just taking it slow. No need to rush anything, really. And now I'm just going to rush to the last room because I don't really see the guy nearby. And yeah, we're pretty much en route to the end game, Metal Gear Rex. That will be quite the fight, and I guess I'll start talking once we reach that point.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, so something which happens in the original games, when you exit out here, like during gameplay, you would see Liquid run away, but I guess here they translated it to just a cutscene. So yeah, once again, taking interactivity away from the narrative. I mean, to be fair, I've already talked about this with him. So anyways, Metal Gear Rex. So this fight is pretty much just an easier version of the original one. I think I was talking about it before, but I guess I interrupted myself. But I think most of the boss fights in this game have lower, like less health than like the ones in the original game, which can make some fights less tedious and others easier. And another pattern which these like recreations of the original fights have is that they tend to be faster than like the original fights. Sometimes to like horrible effect, like the Hind D fight, and sometimes to effect that makes the fight easier, like this one. I don't know. This robot barely does its laser attack. So yeah, it's the same tactics as the original one, just kind of when it just kind of go to the, like move slightly to the side when it shoots its machine gun and then run forward to avoid the missiles, because if you run really close to it and forward, like its missile like range is not going to work at all. And you can use chaff grenades if you want, if you're going from the side or left, but there's no real point to doing it when you have this strategy here that avoids the missiles all the time. And yeah, I guess the only real issue is that the targeting system of the Stinger here could be a little bit tricky. Sometimes it won't target the place you want to target, or sometimes it'll target the wrong area. But yeah, like that, it's targeting like the cockpit now, like bro, come on. But yeah, really easy fight and a lot faster than the original. Like the original fight wasn't that hard either, but like this one just feels like the easy version of that fight. So yeah, we're just here, we're chilling, and there's not much more to say on this. And also, thankfully, this robot never does the laser attack. Like the laser attack is like the one complication from the original fight, which like, you know, kind of stressed me out. But here he always does the machine gun attack. So it's just, oh, so nice. It's just such a comforting fight after dealing with the hell that is every single other fight. Like the Vulcan Raven fight looks easy, but doing that like cheesy strategy took me so much time and so much effort. Like, oh my goodness. And the Hind D fight is easily the worst part of this game in particular. Ouch. Anyways, here's a cinematic moment.
It's no good. I can't do it. It's no good. I can't do it. It's no good. I can't do it.
I was taken from the battle.
I can't do it. I can't shoot. I can't do it.
Truly dead. An undying shadow in a world of light. But soon it will finally end.
So I'd say that's probably one of the guys, like Gray Fox's better deliveries, but now he's dead. And now I remember saying that in my original Metal Gear Solid video that it would be a lot easier if I just ran to the center of the screen to kind of align my stinger easier. And I'm just going to take my advice. I'm going to align this Metal Gear fight that it's not facing me from the left, but instead it's just facing me front on. Because pretty much when you go into the stinger mode and you go into first person, if you run towards the Metal Gear, you're aiming up, and you have to aim up to pretty much get this guy. See here? I go forward, I aim up immediately, and then I'm targeting the wrong place, but you know, I aim up immediately. However, if I'm going from the left and I like start approaching it from the left, I'm holding the control stick to the left, but then when I go into the stinger mode, I go to the left. I don't want to do that. I want to go up. So it just kind of adds more complications to a fight where you want to do no damage and you don't want complications. So yeah, instead of shooting like the little radome thing, you have to shoot the cockpit. No, not the cockpit. I mean, I think this thing is actually the cockpit, but I called the bottom part of cockpit because, you know, cock, haha. But whatever. So yeah, same fight, but I think it has a little more health this time. It's the second phase. I don't know, man. But there's not much more to say. I'm just glad that this fight was not as frustrating as most of the other stuff in this game, though the targeting system can frustrate me quite a bit at times. But one thing which this fight is missing is, well, the music. Like, I mean, remember what I was talking about, like the escalation of like the same boss track was like put to the ultimate like remix at this point. Well, now that effect is completely lost with its original composition. So it's just kind of like, bro, come on. Also, I'm feeling a bit of Kiwami 2 vibes here. I don't know, a little too much green, a little too much green here. A little too much green. I don't know, a little too much green here, man. I don't know. I never mentioned, I mean, since I'm recording at the GameCube and also recording at 480i, that's why there's kind of this 4:3 aspect ratio, because that's the original aspect ratio of the game. So that's why there's these black bars on the side. And no, I'm not going to stretch it to be letterboxed. I'm not doing that unless I'm emulating, because apparently you could do it naturally in emulation, though you could probably, I don't know, a lot of time in emulation you just make the figures look fat unless you like mod it really well. I mean, no, but anyways, here's the liquid fight, and it's both easier and harder than the original game. So yeah, you have to knock liquid off to get his dog tag, and now we have all the dog tags in the game, 37. So yeah, the thing which makes it harder is that in the original game, when liquid gets into like his defensive stance, like that one, the way you would trigger it in the original game, you do one punch and then he kind of does this thing and you walk away from him. However, here, like if you try to do the punch strategy, liquid will collide with your model and that will stun you long enough that you can't run away from him. So instead, I'm kind of getting close to him and then running away in a circle, and that tends to work most of the time. But sometimes he still collides with my model, so it's just like, I don't know, that one change like makes this section a little bit hard. And then there's the second phase of his fight. So here I'm going to cheese the hell out of the second phase of his fight, because the second phase of his fight is horrible for one reason, and one reason in particular. So Liquid has this one bull charge attack where he just goes, get ready, and then he charges at you like a bull. In the original game, after he's done with the attack, he's open. However, in this game, he just immediately recovers. It's insane. So instead, I found a new exploit to deal with it. So pretty much in his second phase, you can just keep looping him like this. I mean, you can't do this in his first or third phase, but in his second phase, since he kind of has like super armor and he'll always retaliate with 2 punches, I guess that also means that every time he gets up, he's just gonna stand there and take it. So yeah, for his second phase, you can just keep looping him like this if you get into a good corner, and then just keep pressing that attack button. So yeah, that made the fight a lot easier. However, once he transitions to his third phase, he's gonna run past you, and then you have to adopt a different strategy. So kind of wait to get an opening on him, and thankfully he didn't do the bull charge thing. He did a kick there. So yeah, 1-2, 1-2, and then wait for him to do 1 punch, 1-2. He does 2 punches. However, the second punch takes a while to come out, so just after he does the first punch, just do the 1-2 there, and that's pretty much how we're gonna do this fight here. It was pretty challenging. I mean, deceptive as my footage may look, but once I learned the strategy to kind of loop him in the second phase, it made it a lot easier. And yeah, that's the Liquid fight. So it was insanely frustrating in the first game, and it's still frustrating here, though I would say I think it is relatively easier. But now, there we go. That's all the boss fights in Metal Gear Solid No Damage, but that is not the whole game. We have the next section coming up.
Hurry!
So yeah, since I saved Meryl, now we have the Meryl helper.
Let me drive.
Oh yeah, there's one funny thing I want to mention at one point, but I'll mention it when I see it in the subtitles. But this section is easier than the original game, because if you just stand in this one place, then the guard's never going to attack you. Though, to be fair, when you're going to the other car, you're going to get shot because of hit scan. Yeah, all white. You know who else says all white? Majima in Dead Souls. Look it up. Play Dead Souls, the best Yakuza game. He says all white all the time. So yeah, once it starts, get into the car. You have to press the use key to get into the car, and then do not shoot any of the guards, because that will count as a kill. Instead, shoot the explosive barrel. That will kill them. I mean, I don't think this one's going to kill the guards. It's just going to open the gate, but yeah. Only shoot the barrels, never the guards. Because if you shoot the guards, that counts as a kill. Shoot the barrel, and it does not count as a kill. The logic in that is astounding, but whatever. I mean, big boss rank, baby. Let's go. So we're going to keep the machine gun thing to the right, because once we reach like the first checkpoint of like guards and all that, it's gonna jerk our all the way to like the left over there, and then that puts us more in the mode of the barrel down there. Boom. Also another thing, so a change up from like the original thing is that in the original game, I'm pretty sure you can only move the machine gun like left and right. However, here you can move it left, right, up, and down. And the reason that's useful is because when you're facing Liquid, you can shoot his headlights. I don't know what shooting his headlights does to help you, but the guide said to do it, so I did do it. So yeah, shoot that. And honestly, when you shoot the barrel, like, they're really bloody, so I thought I actually shot them with the machine gun and like killed them, but no, that's just them dying to the barrel, not you. Also, this section is a lot better than the original game. In the original game, in order to go into first-person mode with the PlayStation controller, you had to hold down the triangle button and then shoot with the square button. So like, to always be in first-person mode during that game required a very weird like hand combination that hurt me a lot. While in this game, I mean, playing on GameCube is a worse Metal Gear experience, but At least here, oh my goodness, it's so much better. You just hold the Z button to be in first person mode and then A button to fire. It's so nice compared to like the original game. Oh man, and also just this is a lot smoother in general, and also this fight tends to be easier than the original. It's not as challenging, and also I'm not sure if I'm being deceived here, but I'm pretty sure it's also faster than the original. It doesn't last nearly as long, because I mean we're already at this section. I mean this section took forever in the original game, but you know, whatever. Though I guess one thing I don't appreciate is that like the liquid showing up is a cutscene which is skippable, while in the original game it's just part of the gameplay. It's like a gameplay cutscene which you can't skip. It just feels more epic. While here I can just skip the cutscene, you know? So yeah, I mean, pretty much what you want to do is just take the least amount of damage from liquid. I mean, I'm sure you've caught on by now, but I am indeed taking damage. Now, like, I mean, yeah, these new videos I keep releasing where I title them no damage, but then at one point I do take damage. It's kind of like, bro, that's kind of deceptive, right? But like, I mean, yes, but also like my entire brand is no damage. I considered like titling this video like instead of no damage I would just put big boss rank, but then I can't put in my playlists which are all no damage. I mean, I take no damage for a majority of the game and only take damage in parts which are like universally, I guess, agreed that are impossible to no damage, because I haven't seen any videos disproving it. So it's just kind of like, damn, we're just here now. And yeah, that's my video. But yeah, that's my video. I guess thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time. I don't know, I have my eye on Snake Eater, and I don't know. I mean, I should probably take a break from making so many videos back to back because it is kind of tiring. But beyond that, yeah, I guess I'll see you then.